and warm in the 80s here in South Ozone Park, New York, as we get set for the first of 2 final weeks here downstate before we shift gears and head up to Saratoga. Greg Wolf, New York Racing Association handicapper. Andy Serling, good to see you for an intriguing card today.
I agree. It's great to be back on the turf. We're fast and firm. After a dreary week, the sun is finally out, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on in today's card as summer has finally arrived.
Yeah, 2 days early, right?
Is it the 21st the first day?
I believe so.
All right. Is that the solstice?
Yes.
Are you going to do anything for it, like drumming or something in the park at night?
Might have a celebration later
good.
that night.
Okay.
This turf, we talked about it earlier before we came on the air, this 7th race. Very good turf feature coming up, including a horse that just loves to win. Big Everest does it on the front end. There's other speed in here. We'll get to Big Everest in a moment, but let's start with Cugino, this improving Shug McGahee runner is going to make his 4-year-old debut coming up, and it's a 3-year-old on grass. What did you think of him?
I thought he was potentially as good as any 3-year-old in the country last year, but his lack of speed caused him to get sort of mediocre trips and put him behind the 8 ball a little bit, and he couldn't be deterministic. It was starting to turn into the Grade 1 horse he is now. In the Hill Prince last year, he's a very talented horse, and he should get some pace to run at, but you made a good point, I thought, to me earlier today about him. Because he's the morning line favorite, you're talking about a morning line favorite that sort of you have to bet on the come. He has not run as quickly as a number of other horses in this race. Now, as a newly turned 4-year-old, he might have more upside than the others, but you need to take the shortest price in the race to find out if, in fact, he is the best horse.
3-1 morning line with the man aboard, who is aboard, Irad Ortiz Jr.
He's pretty good.
You may not even get that price because he always gets overbet. Inside of him, Big Everest. We know how he likes to do it on the front end. He has won 9 of his 21 starts on grass. That last start, is that a concern for him or not worried because it was off the bench?
It's a little bit, and as you know, I'm somebody who's been a little bit against him at times because when he's won, he's had everything his own way. But even though it's a mile and 16th, he's 3 for 6 lifetime at the distance, and his speed makes him dangerous. And off a layoff, he had to deal with Donegal Momentum on the front end, who returned off that effort with an easy win in our poker up in Saratoga. And I just feel like he's the controlling inside speed. It should be noted this race is on the inner turf course, and the rails have come down to 0 for the first time, I think, since very early in the year, a couple months ago. So I think there's the possibility, I'm not saying it's an absolute, that the inside paths are a place to be. I'm taking him to wire the field. I'm trying to shed my reputation as hating this horse. I think he's at times dressed up, but he's also been in a lot of short prices, and I don't think he's going to be that short today.
That's Big Everest we're talking about from that inside post. Miguel Clement, Joel Rosario, and a terrific feature in that 7th later today at a mile and 16th on the turf. Here's what's ahead, presented by Claiborne Farm. Races 1 through 8 coming up on our coverage. We go till 5 Eastern this afternoon. Fast and firm. We have Horseshoe Indy coverage as well. They are off the turf, muddy on the main track. They're just over an hour away from their opener coming up. We'll check in with Rachel McLaughlin in just a little bit from action from Horseshoe Indy. You can play it all right there at NYRA Bets. Get signed up, started. If you are a new member, that's the offer that you'll receive, that $200 deposit match, new customer bonus when you punch in that code, bonus 200. At sign up and bet any track, anywhere, anytime, including today's action as we're 7 minutes to post here in the first. There, again, NYRABets.com. So mile, main track, $30,000 claiming race, all for sale for that price here. Sources who've not won 3 lifetime here in the opener, and the favorite, Glint, Linda Rice.
And I, like you, don't trust Glint at all, who lost a race loose to the lead, or on a lead last time on a very speed-friendly track. And I think he's a vulnerable favorite. I'm surprised right now that, I'm not surprised, Doris, you and I like Final Denial is 5-1. I'm surprised that Steel Vengeance is 9-2. He seems like a real overlay.
Here he is. He has a big gate-to-wire win for the level, respective to this group. 32 claiming win back in March.
And I don't care what he did in the turf last time out. He's a dirt horse, and his other races are fast enough to win. And I respect trainer Patty Reynolds, his first chance for Pat on a dirt track.
Ricardo Santana Jr. on Final Denial.
Yeah, I'm hoping this horse can get back to some earlier races, and I think you can make some excuses. A tougher field last time, and like you, I thought he was an interesting alternative.
Glint had that huge performance March 15th, hasn't really produced it before or since.
Well, I thought your point to me earlier today about him being kind of a one-number horse is true, and his last 2 races have not been good.
9-5 favorite, though, for Linda Rice. Here is As You Chase Me, Chris Englehart Barn.
I mean, I can understand thinking of him as a bit of a wise guy horse. Ran okay in his last start a couple months ago, but right now at 5-2, he seems like an underlay.
5-1 next door. First Trumpet, who's tried to be forward the last couple of starts, will shorten up today.
Yeah, well, he'll probably try to be a bit forward, but he's not fast enough to be in front of this field.
And on the outside, the biggest price on the board, Solo Empire for Rudy Rodriguez.
He's just going to have to find better form than he's ever had as he gets back to the dirt. New gelding, though.
5 minutes a post, pick 5 pool, as you see, closing in on $140,000 as we get set to kick off this card. You can get all the stats of the horses, trainers, jockeys, and download your free Equibase past performances. Go to NYRA.com/TV schedule to follow along. So 5 minutes from this opening race coming up. Let's head downstairs, check in for the first time today with Maggie Wolfendale. You surviving the heat, I hope.
Yeah, the great thing about Aqueduct in the summertime, Greg, is that we get this lovely breeze from Jamaica Bay that keeps everything a bit more on the cooler side, but it is quite hot, quite sunny. And, you know, horses of the two extremes between cold and hot, they do prefer the cold. So everybody a little bit more quiet than maybe you'd usually see them so far in the preliminaries, as we do see a rider off number 3, who was the horse I was going to talk to about first, and that is Glint. Cowboy up, Jose Lezcano. I don't know what happened. I couldn't see. I was looking straight in the camera when that happened. So he was behaving before that. But the odd thing about Glint is he actually only has one eye. So while my experience around one-eyed horses is that they actually become that much more adaptable, and they also become, you know, they compensate with their brain a lot more. But some, I suppose, maybe if they can't see, they are a little bit more spooky. So looking at him out on the track and with Linda Rice, it feels as though physically this guy has done very well, and he does hold the keys to this affair, and that he should be the most forwardly placed horse. And last time I just thought he went way too quick, and he was pressed, you know, midway through the race by the eventual winner on the outside. So we'll see if he can get back to some of his better efforts here today with Jose back aboard. Literally. As number 1, Steel Vengeance, I like him here, and he is coming down a bit in price. I just thought of the horses and watching them warm up, watching them in the paddock, he just had the best overall presence. Kind of not high energy, but just very bright in his demeanor. Didn't have a pony, but no problem for him. And Christopher Elliott, they've gotten a lovely warm up out on the racetrack, and I just think he makes a good deal of sense dropping into this spot. He's not devoid of early speed, so he won't let your favorite too far out of his sights. And it looks as though he's doing very well for Pat Reynolds, second off the claim. Now, number 2, Final Denial. I've always had my reservations about him because he's a horse that I don't know what he really wants to do, right? He has pedigree to be a turf horse. He's not a turf horse. And the one time that he broke his maiden, or the time he broke his maiden, was over a sloppy sealed racetrack, and it was going 6 furlongs. I've always thought he was more of a closing sprinter. Then Horacio de Paz gets him to win, going a mile first off the claim, and then his form's kind of gone in the wrong direction, but as you guys pointed out, possibly against the racetrack. He looks incredibly fit coming back here off a little bit of a freshening, so he did have a comprehensive campaign prior to that, so maybe he just needed a little time away from the racetrack. Warming up, he looks fine. I wish he showed me a little bit more energy out there, but again, he's an interesting cog to this machine today. And guys, I want to hear why you like him.
Maggie, thank you. Pick 5 pool closing in on $160,000 coming up. It is still Glint, holding on as a 9-5 favorite.
You know, I understand Maggie's point saying that he went too fast last time, and it's a valid point, and fast the pace was. But that racetrack was really carrying speed, and as she also mentioned, Have You Heard was pretty close to the pace, and it didn't affect him being closer to the pace. And I think your argument, and listen, I'm not going to condemn him for his race 2 back at a mile, you know, at a mile and an eighth, the muddy track against horses in a completely different galaxy. But I'm starting to wonder if his one win off the claim was a bit of an aberration, and the rest of his races are, at best, kind of okay.
It
so
was
I don't need him
so
at 9-5.
much better than how he had ever run in his career in his prior, 9 starts?
Yeah, I think the 3 can win. but he's the kind of horse that I want to bet against, as you and I both like Final Denial. Just sort of looking at him, he was in against much better horses last time. Got involved in the pace 2 races back with Glint when he ran that big race. And I thought his races 3 back and 4 back both give him a chance in here. And I was just looking for a slightly better price. I mean, I don't have a huge problem with As You Chase Me, but does he really feel like a 5-2 shot in this race?
He's taking quite a bit of money. That's the
9-2. I might, isn't that his morning line? I think it was a bigger price. He was 4-1. And it just seems like 5-2 is a little on the short side, though he's not impossible.
And this one here, that price starting to come down a little bit. The concern I had with this horse the last time on the dirt, he had an inside post. He veered in severely at the start, and it cost him his chances, and now he's drawn inside again.
Yeah, I can't really. That's a very fair point and a valid one. It's not something that I think about a lot, but maybe I should be thinking about it. The reality is that for Wayne Potts, he ran big figures and figures that make him good enough to win this race on the dirt. And I think people are looking at Pat Reynolds maybe and they're saying, oh, he's just 1 for 23. Well, if you take a good look at the horses that Pat Reynolds has started this year, it becomes extremely unsurprising that his record is 1 for 23. Pat's a very good trainer, the original trainer of Big Brown. It doesn't matter who you are. If you have a barn full of slow horses, I don't care who you are. You're not going to win races. And if you look at this horse, he's probably about as live, if not liver, than any horse Pat has run all year.
Big Brown, of course, would move to the Dutrow barn when the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown, the Derby, from post 20. But was not able to become a Triple Crown winner.
Well, Dataro is just too good.
Here's As You Chase Me, 5-2. So Glint, the 3. Rice, Lezcano, favored to kick off this Thursday card. Final 2 weeks of action here at Belmont at the Big A. Let's send it upstairs to get things started. Here's Chris Griffin.
Solo Empire, last to load. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Breaking awkwardly there was Final Denial. It's going to be the early trailer. At the rail, it's Steel Vengeance, who flashes early speed, and in between horses comes Glint in the red silks. Out wider on the far outside is Solo Empire to make it 3 across the racetrack early. They quickly come out of the chute, and at the rail, it's Steel Vengeance, who's ahead in front. Christopher Elliott's going to dole out the fractions here. Steel Vengeance now a neck in front of Glint, who's a stalking second for Jose Lezcano. 3 wide is Solo Empire. Making up quick ground was Final Denial, who was the trailer, is now bottled up in behind rivals as they slow things down up front. First Trumpet is in between horses, is in that 5th position, needs a way out, and the trailer, As You Chase Me, 22.67 for the opening quarter mile. They're chasing Steel Vengeance at the rail. Glint is now asked the question up on the outside, but Steel Vengeance has more. Steel Vengeance takes him into the far turn, is still up by a half length, 45.32. For a half-mile time. 3 wide still is Solo Empire. Final Denial lost some ground going into the turn, is trying to make it up there from 4th. No move from First Trumpet, and As You Chase Me still the 2 trailers. Steel Vengeance is trying to hold off the charge of Glint, who's right to the outside in sight. And here comes Glint, ready to challenge Steel Vengeance, who's game. They're shoulder to shoulder here as they're approaching a final furlong. Then came a photo, As You Chase Me to the inside of Final Denial in 1 minute 34.66 seconds.
Steel Vengeance, no bad break today. Back on dirt, Christopher Elliott, Pat Reynolds team up for the win.
Nice to see Pat get a win with this horse, who was just best. And a nice ride by Christopher Elliott, doing what he does well, which is being aggressive. Glenn had every chance to beat him. He just wasn't good enough to beat him. R2 ran 3rd probably, but just a little bit too slow. Not as good as these.
Didn't get out good.
Yeah, but he's just not good enough to beat these, I don't think. We tried.
3-1 third choice to kick off this Thursday card for Nice Guys Stables. And now 3 wins, all here on this surface, to kick things off on this Thursday action. So underway with Steel Vengeance getting it done. 1:34.3 final time for the mile distance.
Track has been playing extremely quickly. Even when we got all the rain, it was still fast. And obviously, those are lightning fast times for horses of this quality. This track is playing very, very quickly.
lower level claiming race. That is moving. 134 and 3.
121.58 to the 7 furlongs.
Jeez.
Might see some pretty quick times in the dirt races today. We will, depending on who they are.
All right, so Steel Vengeance 3-1 to kick off the action here. We'll get into the early pick 4 in a moment. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Our coverage just getting started here on Fox Sports 2. Steel Vengeance best to start this Thursday card here in South Ozone Park, New York.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Back with you on our Thursday coverage. You're watching America's Day at the Races. Is it a boat race?
Be careful about using the term boat race on a horse racing TV show.
Is that going through your neck of the woods? You're on the other side, right?
I'm on the Upper West Side. That looks like the 59th Street Bridge, right?
Yeah, it is.
The Circle Line is great fun. There's a lot of fun
love the Circle
touristy
Line.
things
I just
to
was
do.
talking, I need to take my kids on that.
Yeah, it's great fun. On a day like today, be out there in the water, it's terrific. Nice trip around Manhattan. And I don't think there's a nicer way to drive into the city than on a clear night driving over the 59th Street Bridge, you know, with the lights and everything, driving over that bridge. Love that view.
Can I bring up our bridge convo from earlier today?
I have bridge
Something
issues.
Andy does
I
not
have
want to
bridge
do, though.
issues.
Yeah.
I don't love bridges.
Fear of bridges.
Heights. I have fear of heights.
Let's get to the opener, unless we want to continue to show that for a little longer. Steel Vengeance with the win to kick things off. Christopher Elliott, Pat Reynolds for Nice Guy Stables.
Yeah, and just, you know, Christopher did a good job being aggressive, keeping the 3 away from what he gets most comfortable doing, and he ran well today. Nice pick by Maggie, and a good job by Pat Reynolds. Happy to see Pat get the win.
Pulls away here, gets that separation from Glint. And as you pointed out, look, it's a hot day, and this track playing awfully fast.
It's fast. That was a wildly fast time for this quality of horse. None of these horses are bad, but that's still a very fast time.
134.66 final time. So 1-3-2 in the opener. We will be on the grass here in race number 2. New York breds trying to get their first win in a state bred maiden special weight race coming up. It's Identity Crisis. Second time out, Tom Morley barn with Javier Castellano, who opens up 5-2 favorite.
And I think Identity Crisis and King Puck, based on doubles at least, should be vying for favoritism. And you have to ask yourself about the layoff with King Puck, who should be the speed, especially with the scratch of Roofer. If you prefer that one or you prefer the horses coming out of the Stormy Birthday race and Experience and Identity Crisis, I prefer King Puck. And our wild card near is the number 3, first time in the grass for Mike Maker.
And we have a chance to sweep the card, too. Maggie gave out the winner in the opener. Now we have to do some of the work.
Okay. You think any one of us got all 7 winners on top? Probably
I
not.
like her husband's horse in this race coming up. I feel pretty strongly
Maggie
about
won't
it.
be picking him. She rarely is on them.
It's
if
true.
she's
It's
if
true,
she's
but I'll
on the
pick up
Tom
the slack.
horse, it might be very. I don't know what it would be. I think it just means that she's kind of losing it in the heat.
We did see her pick one of her husband's horses this past week, right?
I don't know. I can't remember. I can barely remember yesterday.
It's true. Me either. Later this week, coming up, our ABR race of the week. Spectacular Bid Division, New York Stallion Series, 6 furlongs, on the grass. And friend of the devil, Carlos Martin, coming back off the bench after the only turf start, was able to break his maiden. Off the layoff, looked even more impressive. Big leap forward.
Bit of a house horse owned by the chairman of New York Racing Association, Mark Holliday's Blue Devil Racing Stable. And how can I not root for a guy who continuously names horses after Grateful Dead songs? And as you know, a friend of the devil is a friend of mine. He's good. I mean, this horse has just run horses off their feet, and he is absolutely the horse to beat in this race. I'm very interested to see what soon-to-be King does in here, because I wondered if he was kind of turf meant earlier in his career, and he has the pedigree to improve on it. But he better be able to run on the turf, because this guy is good.
And the other speed in the race is the stablemate.
I don't think he can keep up with Friend of the Devil. Friend of the Devil is fast. And I agree. I don't see him going on a mission against that one. And he'd have to really go on a mission, because Friend of the Devil's quick.
88 Beyer in that win. Gate to wire 21-1, 43-2 to the half in that victory off the bench. Next door, soon to be King, George Weaver, Manny Franco, coming off back-to-back seconds on dirt. This is going to be the turf debut.
Except it's interesting that he was entered for turf in his second start, and that was having a terrible ride and trip in his debut. And he's turned out to be one of the better New York bred dirt horses of his generation. I also like the fact that he started to put himself a little more in the game, and he hasn't been quite as pace dependent. Now, he fan into a very tough horse, this Mike Lee, and ran well to be second. But I do think he's a horse that ultimately it's not going to be shocking if he's actually better on the turf. So he could be a real rival. The problem is, because he's stake-faced, you're not going to get the kind of price maybe you deserve. And he's also facing a horse, Friend of the Devil, who's very talented.
Yeah, that was an impressive comeback off the return for that 3-year-old debut. Excited to see him. That is coming up on our Saturday action. Spectacular Bid Division New York Stallion Series, sprinting on the lawn. So we'll have that this weekend for you. We're going to take a timeout. Pick 4 coming up when we return on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. King Puck, Miguel Clement Barn, Joel Rosario. This horse has become the 2-1 favorite as he readies for his 4-year-old debut coming up for Waterville Lake Stables. Post-break when we come back.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 55 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sire of yearlings in 2024. Curlin, the classic sire.
Join us at Saratoga Racecourse for the 5th annual New York Thoroughbred Aftercare Day. This special live race day features the Rick Violet Stakes, named after the pioneer in aftercare in New York, and celebrates both retired racehorses and the great organizations established in New York to support them. Bring the whole family. It's a day at Saratoga you don't want to miss. Free with paid admission. New York Thoroughbred Aftercare Day, Thursday, July 17th.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Saratoga season passes are on sale now and include free admission to the special July 4th Racing Festival. Enjoy 4 additional days of Saratoga for the same price as last year. Secure your season pass for just about $2 per day at NYRA.com/Saratoga.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
All right, everybody, welcome to Claiborne Farm. Claiborne Farm has been around since 1910. The tour is a backstage look at how we operate as a large-scale breeding farm. These are parts of the farm that have always been off limits to the public. You know, you would only see these barns and these horses up close if you worked out here. So it's been really exciting to open that to the public, to show that end of the industry and just spread that knowledge. You know, you take a group out, they get to scratch on a mare and foal, they think it's super cool and hopefully create a lifelong fan. So our stallions stand from anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000. That is a stand and nurse guarantee. So that fee is not paid until the next year after the mare has had her baby, the foal stands, and everything is good. We have conceived 22 Kentucky Derby winners, 19 Preakness winners, 22 Belmont winners, and 29 Breeders' Cup winners. In addition to that, 6 of the 13 Triple Crown winners have been conceived in our breeding shed. So I'm always excited to, you know, spread the knowledge that I've had, share this passion for the breeding industry that I've had basically my entire life, and just spread the wealth. Basically, all of our tours are sold out. That's just absolutely fantastic. Sometimes we'll try to sneak in 1 or 2 extra people onto the trolley. It's a yearling colt field. Actually, this field is home of 2013 Kentucky Derby winner Orb, as well as Breeders' Cup Classic winner Flame. The cemetery is extremely popular. It's on both types of tours that we offer, so the trolley tour and the walking tour. People travel from all over the world to see Secretariat's grave. So it's really exciting to see people's reaction to seeing that. Secretariat, the 1973 Triple Crown winner. I just want to thank everybody for coming on this tour. This is a tour that we've been really excited about. We're really excited to open up this side of the operation to the public. I think Claiborne is just absolutely iconic when it comes to horse racing. I don't think you can think of horse racing without thinking of Secretariat and Claiborne Farm.
Just incredible the impact Claiborne has had on this sport. All those Triple Crown winners, Breeders' Cup winners. It is amazing. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well.
And I see they're now giving tours of the private cemetery, which is, to me, one of the more cool places you can go to anywhere if you're a racing fan, because it's just a who's who of so many of the great horses over a long, long period of time, and so many that came through Claiborne. You see those numbers. I think Obeya is there. Just so many good horses. I have great love for Claiborne, which is the first farm I went to visit, and they've always been incredibly welcoming. You know, I went in the 90s, made an appointment to get a tour, and I had a great guide who took me around, and he told me that Secretariat, he said, is buried whole. And I didn't really get the accent at the time, and he's buried whole. Most horses aren't buried their entire horse, but Secretariat was.
As one of the all-time greats, as he should be. Here is a son of a Claiborne stallion, the great Blame. Second time out, turf debut. It was pretty good. Got a tough beginning out of the gate was a little bit wide and wound up just behind and Experience, the 2 in today's race, so they'll face off again.
I'm looking forward to hearing what Maggie has to say.
Let's go downstairs to Maggie now.
And you guys said, has Maggie ever picked one of her horses? And Greg said, yes, she has a few weeks ago. I did, up in Saratoga, factually correct. Naturally, he didn't win. He did run a good third, but we'll talk about Identity Crisis here in the paddock, as he's one that actually did look incredibly fit. Not necessarily Tom's MO to have them totally cranked up for their first start, but he did come to hand quite quickly and easily, and was very professional, I thought, in the prelims. Today, maybe just a touch more intensity, a little bit more on the bridle, so obviously knows what's happening now, and his run was good enough where if he moves up just a bit, he is a major player here. Now, that day, I actually picked Jeremiah Englehart's horse and Experience, because this guy came back just acting so much more mature than what he did first time out. And let's face it, as a 2-year-old in that debut in late August at Saratoga, he ran very well. And I thought he ran well enough again last time, but he didn't switch leads until very late behind Gate to Wire winner and Stormy Birthday. He came in today acting like he did as a 2-year-old. He's screaming. He just seems a little bit distracted, but obviously that has shown in the past not to be an issue. Now, the horse coming back off of a considerable layoff is number 1, King Puck. Weirdly, I've never been in the paddock for any of his efforts. He is a 4-year-old, so he's a bit more of a more developed individual. He came in a bit distracted too. Maybe that's how he always is. He was screaming and talking back and forth with an Experience. He looks 90% fit. I respect him, but I don't know. He might need a start. At least, he's feeling good, Greg.
Well, that's good news. Let's start things off with the returnee here, 4-year-old debut King Puck.
I just think not that great a price.
Stablemate to King Puck, debuting Wrighton.
Yeah, and there's enough turf pedigree to say the horse can run, and you never know.
Here's the son of Claiborne Stallion Blame, Identity Crisis.
I don't agree. I agree with you that this horse probably ran a little bit better than the 2 did last time out. He's obviously dangerous.
Here's Light Fantastic debut for Peter Pugh.
I have a tip on this horse. I heard he's fast. We'll see whether or not that's true.
12-1, and then 24-1 Klimp Master, Eduardo Jones trains.
I don't have a tip on this one, and he's an underlay at 25-1. I mean, really.
I would agree.
He's going to be over 50 by post time.
4 minutes to post. Race kicks off to pick 4. Get involved with NYRA contests. Friday feeder contests. Low-cost way to earn your entry into the $300 Saturday contest. Registration closes before Belmont at the Big A's 3rd. Post time on Friday. Go to NYRABets.com/contest for all the information and to register. Good luck if you are playing. So there's the favorite, King Puck. Start number 4 here on the comeback trail.
Needs to break sharply, and Joel put him on the front end. And I feel like Joel Rosario, I know that he can drive some players crazy. I'm not one of them. First of all, already crazy, and I'm Joel's biggest fan. I think when he rides well, he's as good a rider as there is in the game. And he has been riding very well lately. This horse caught Nano Man, who I don't know where this race came from. He never ran it before. He never ran it again, but he ran huge on this day. And while it was a little disappointing given, all the money he took after his very good debut, I still think he ran as good, if not better. I just feel like he ran to a horse that kind of freaked that day. He's a turf horse. Last time out, obviously something went wrong at a short price, didn't get out of the gate. And I think off the layoff, because he ran well fresh, I think he's the horse to beat. Because I just don't trust the 2 and 5 wholly.
Let's go back to Maggie.
And we'll check in with some of the more unknown commodities here in this race. And we'll begin with a horse that I'm going to take a swing at. I agree with you guys. That 9-2 on number 3, Asking for a Friend, does seem a little bit on the shorter side than what you'd like to take with, again, a horse doing something that they've never done before and off of a layoff. But this guy looks like a turf sprinter. He's a son of Practical Joke, which isn't the greatest turf influence, but the ones who like it, I feel like they're better sprinting at least. And on the bottom side, he is a half to Noble Emotion, who went 5 for 23 in turf sprints, at one point earning a 93 Beyer. So he was very good and proficient on the surface and the distance. And he comes in fit. He's very calm and settled and focused. He's gotten a lovely warm-up with Rod Ortiz Jr. putting those shortcut blinkers on. I like this horse, and just searching for an unknown because I couldn't really separate. I thought there were things to like and maybe not like about the three main players, the 1, 2, and 5 in here. So I'll just take the one that I have good feelings about, as number 4 is Wrighton, a first-time starter. And despite being a Cantheros, and I do like his progeny sprinting on the turf, he looks like one that more ground is preferable, that this might just be a starting point. Now, maybe he makes a fool of me and he comes rolling late, but he's been just a touch green out there with the pony, and just because he's so tall, leggy, has a lot of scope and length to his frame, that it just suggests to me that this might be on the shorter side for him, and furthermore looks as though he'll benefit from a start from that fitness perspective. So kind of wait and see approach with him, as the horse that Andy was saying got a tip on Light Fantastic. Again, another sire that's great with his turf sprinters. Not much turf on the bottom side, though the best sibling, Eloquent Speaker. She was a good New York bred dirt sprinter. He's been so green out there. He might be fast, but I don't know if he's going to know what he's doing once those gates open. He won't go with the pony. He's just like, where am I? As he's obviously been training up in Saratoga and Aiken. A far cry from those two places, and furthermore just looks as though he'll benefit from a start. So I'll watch with interest. As wow, guys, he just got cut in half nearly to 7-1.
I'm glad Maggie pointed that out. There's a tip that Light Fantastic is fast, I was told. And I was told it reliably that he's fast. On the other hand, I've had my share of tips on Peter Pugh horses over the year from a very, very sharp friend of mine that some people know from Twitter. And my experience is they haven't lived up to the tip. But there is a story on this horse, and as Maggie pointed out accurately, went from 11-1 to 7-1, and he could be any price in this race, given those connections. And Peter Pugh is a good trainer. I'm not in any way disparaging him, but he doesn't run that many horses, and so there's a lot of money to be taking in this race. But there is a story. We'll see if he's quick.
Meanwhile, start number 3 here for Inexperience. Jeremiah Engelhardt, Eric Cancel back aboard. 2 starts, 2 runner-up finishes.
Yeah, I feel like of the 2, you want the 5 more than the 2. And not just because the 5's a second-time starter, because the 2 was coming off a layoff as well. But like a lot of people, I think given the trouble, this horse, got bumped around and squeezed off at the start, Identity Crisis, and came, within a length and a half of beating Inexperience, who I thought had a better trip. Not that either one of them had terrible trips, but I, too, would prefer Identity Crisis. I don't love the fact that they were wired by Stormy Birthday, who was about 40-1 and had dicey form coming into the race. And my concern is maybe it's just not that strong a race they're coming out of.
4-horse Wrighton, a late scratch. The first-time starter for Miguel Clement will be coming off the board.
You think he got upset because Maggie wasn't thrilled with his chances? Got a little hurt and decided not to run today?
So we'll wait to see the debut from the son of Cantheros for another day.
Yes, we will. And it's I tell you something. Obviously, Miguel Clement taking over the stable, and it's a tough subject with how Christophe and his father's a legend in this game, literally a legend, and
will probably very soon be in the Hall of Fame.
He should be inducted this summer. Frankly, he should have been inducted 2 years ago, but that's a whine for another day. He's under the gun, This is a game where you want to have pressure in this game, because the people with no pressure in this game don't win. So you want to be in that situation, but it's hard. I mean, he's worked for his father for a long time. He worked overseas. I want to say he worked with Hugo Palmer, a very successful trainer. Christophe obviously worked for Luca Comani, who's a legendary great trainer from Europe, but he's the name now. There's a difference, and your name is on there, and there's a lot of pressure with that. You want the pressure, but the pressure still is tough. And listen, we work with his wife Acacia, who we're all very fond of. We want them to do well, obviously, but it's a lot of pressure in this game.
What a dream week under extraordinarily difficult circumstances. Didn't want to be in this position this quickly.
No.
But forced to take over the stable with the passing of, as you mentioned, a legend in this game, his father. Exactly.
That wouldn't really happen. Racing never works out that way, right? And also, Steve Dunker being a part owner of that horse. Steve goes way back with Christophe, very, very close friends. It was a magical moment, and I'm going to give the Racing Eclipse Award to Acacia for managing to get through that. I don't think I got through her interview with Miguel without crying. I don't know how Acacia did it.
Yeah, very incredibly touching moment to be able to have that moment with her husband and interview him there for his first ever Grade 1. And that's one of the most, to me, even look at it, obviously the Belmont was the main draw there. Stars on that Saturday card. That horse was one of the horses I was most looking forward to seeing that week.
Yes, I spent a lot of time telling Christophe that he's a horse that will be better if he goes to the front end. It's worked out. It should also be noted it was a 3-horse photo. Miguel doesn't just train the winner. He also trained Farbridge, who finished a very close third in there. And, I know there's some thought, the race went 1 mile and 8, supposed to be mile 3/16. Distance didn't get him beaten. He just wasn't quite good enough. Farbridge might have gotten the single greatest ride of any horse the entire weekend by Joel Rosario. What a ride that was, getting the fence with him from the outside post. A very good horse. It was a thrilling race and a thrilling way to end a great week of racing.
5 for Tom Morley, Identity Crisis. The favorite right now.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not. The one's off a layoff. We'll see. I'm optimistic the one will pop out of the gate and be the speed, but if the 6 is fast, maybe that could take away his gate, his advantage. We'll see. Interesting race.
There's the second-time starter, Javier Castellano. Set for the start of this early pick 4. Let's set it upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
Light Fantastic backs away. Goes in. Clip Master. Lastelo to the outside. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Identity Crisis right out to the front and quickly sprints, clears up by 2. At the rail, a patiently ridden King Puck, and towards the outside, here comes An Experience. Wants to apply some pressure. They're well spread out on the turf course. Right there in 4th comes Light Fantastic, Pink Cap. Then at the rail towards the inside is Asking for a Friend. The trailer, Clip Master. They're chasing Identity Crisis, who shows the way. 22 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile. An Experience is in pursuit, right to the outside, a stalking presence from second, and now shoved along here at the rail. That's King Puck. Light Fantastic starts to make up some ground, is going to be a touch wide, and in hand, Asking for a Friend needs a way out. Asking for a Friend is in 5th, but needs a seam. They reach the top of the lane, 44.59 for a half-mile time. Identity Crisis is holding them off so far. King Puck is in full pursuit and Experience, trying to rally on Asking for a Friend and Light Fantastic. They still have to get to Identity Crisis, who approaches the final 16th. Identity Crisis, King Puck is lunging late. Identity Crisis, gate to wire. Identity Crisis wins it over King Puck and Experience and Asking for a Friend. Final running time, 1 minute 8.09 seconds.
Identity Crisis had that bad start where he got pushed around, sandwiched in the debut. He broke a lot sharper today, got to the front, goes gate to wire.
This race was won at the gate when 2 things happened. He broke like a shot, and Javier controlled the race. Also, and you know how much I like Joel Rosario, I think Joel blew it. I think he should have been more aggressive out of the gate, made this horse run a little bit, at least created some separation so he wouldn't get in that position where he had to fight his way to in between horses like he did. And probably a bit of a sort of unaggressive ride may have cost him the win, but give all the credit to the winner. Identity Crisis gets the job done, and the break in Javier's ride made the difference.
Start number 2, winning performance, completely different scenario, than that debut when it was no fault of his own. But showing what he can do with that speed when he is not sandwiched on either end. Tom Morley Barn, My Racehorse, Edge Racing, Javier Castellano, Identity Crisis here as the slight second choice at 2-1 to start off this pick 4.
Yep. They got the right favorite. Maybe the My Racehorse made the difference, but in this case, it was the break and Javier's aggressive ride that made the difference, especially an aggressive ride versus a passive ride. On this turf course, 22.05 isn't exactly fast.
5-1-2 finish. We're going to take a break. Identity Crisis, second time out with the win. The son of blame for trainer Tom Morley. Takes race 2. We'll set up the start of the pick 6 when we come back.
They're coming down for the finish, and it is Silver State.
10:25, 10:25, at 25:35, 335,000.
Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Welcome back to the program. It's America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 2. I'm very happy to get his picture taken. Was Identity Crisis. Yes, we know who you are now. Identity Crisis, a maiden winner. I'm pleased to be joined by his rider, Javier Castellano. And Javi, you had ridden him first time out. Didn't show the speed that he did today. What was the difference?
I think it's on horses first time they can figure it out. The second time, you know what's going on. He very professional. He was good in the post parade, very focused. I like the way he conducted himself today, and pretty sharp today. Not too many horses, and a couple horses crashed, and ended up at the horse bullet. Broke it good out of the gate. He get a position, dictate the pace all the way.
Talk a little bit about the warm-up you were just describing to me, kind of keeping him just in the zone where you needed him to break that sharply today.
It seemed to me it's a lot of hot today, humid, 90 degrees. We didn't have it for a while. I tried to keep it the whole calm, but he came with so much energy, and he bounced around a little bit. I let him loose him out without the pony, let him go gallop it all the way to the gate, and let it sit, and let him walk, and let him walk, and let him breathe, and let him focus before the race. Worked out great.
It really did. Well done. I want to ask you about a horse coming up next, also looking to break her maiden. Mendy, you were on her last fall for Carrie Bryan. Talk a little bit about, riding a 1 3/8 race. And two, she's not one that is devoid of early speed, which sometimes they are in these types of races.
Seems to me those kind of type of horses, they like to go very plateau. They got all the way, one pace, one rhythm, all the way. I seem to me whatever who have more resistance and stamina, I think it's gonna get to the finish line first. I think in the case it better be relaxed all the way in the race. Whatever get position, let him be relaxed. He can carry all the way. I rode the last fall. I really like the horse, well behaved, good mind. Hopefully, can get it done today.
That's the game plan, I'm sure. Congratulations on this win, too.
Thanks a lot. Thank you,
All right, Javier Castellano, the ultimate professional, and knows his horse as well. Guys?
Man who, 1 point in his career, won 4 consecutive Eclipse Awards as Outstanding Rider.
I think his run ended when I presented the trophy. I presented
You're the reason.
Eclipse Award to him back in 2016. That was it.
No, but you're the reason it ended.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm the jinx.
Javi, it is Andy's fault.
He knows.
$6.80 for the win. We're going to see him coming up in this race as well. Before that, Mount with Mendy going a mile 3/8 on the lawn. He'll be on Sunset Park, the 2 who has the rail in this race. But it's the remaining half of the entry. Huge scratch with Majulu coming out was no question the horse to beat, but a little surprised the 1A still favored?
Well, yeah, I'm not shocked. They always do, and the horse a heavy favorite looking at the doubles, going to be around even money. But I think that often happens. They overbet the other half, even though the Majulu, and I agree with you, I'm not a big Blue Eyed Scout fan.
We're going to give you a little break.
I'll be back soon.
As in when?
Right, a little after 3.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
going to try to get a little food.
All right, enjoy. Acacia Clement joining me after this short timeout. And we're going to look ahead to some weekend action coming up to Wilton on Sunday afternoon. Take a look at that field. I thought we were at Saratoga already. Not the case. Race 7, Belmont of the Big A. This group we'll take a look at when we return. Stay with us on our Fox Sports 2 coverage.
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants. Drain the Clock will bound home the winner. Drain the Clock, Jackie's Warrior, drain the clock by a head.
$120,000. $100,000 in the back.
Watch and wager this summer at Laurel Park. Enjoy the best thoroughbred racing in the state of Maryland through June 29. And don't forget, turf racing is back with full fields and outstanding wagering opportunities. Play the early and late value Pick 5 and enjoy one of the lowest takeouts in the country. Laurel Park is the place to play and win. Racing Friday through Sunday, first race 12:10 p.m. and free admission every day. For more information, visit laurelpark.com. Laurel Park, the player's track.
A dynasty in motion, reshaping the sport's greatest tradition, channeling the legends of his line and surpassing them. 4 of the last 6 Derby winners carry his genes. A Golden Son, a Horse of the Year. Another chapter written beneath those iconic spires. Derby dreams fulfilled for the titans of our industry. From authentic to sovereignty, a legacy both real and supreme. Into mischief.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Good to be back with you. Thanks for being with us on this Thursday afternoon on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. America's Day at the Races continues, and we rotate through. Andy taking a little break here. Acacia Clement joining me on the desk. Good to see you, and we're going to look ahead at some weekend action coming up.
Yeah, good to see you too. Nice and toasty. Definitely feels like summer for this week.
It does. We're in the 80s here this afternoon, but as you can see behind us, yeah, beautiful afternoon. Coming up, we're going to get into Horseshoe Indy as well, as they are, just 17 minutes to post in their first race of the afternoon. Muddy off the turf if you're playing Horseshoe Indy. Let's take a look ahead to this weekend, though, in the Wilton, as we talked about going to break. And this 1-turn mile, not out of the Wilson chute. We're still here at Belmont at the Big A. 3-year-old fillies, $125,000 purse in this spot. and Mazayat Belmont Jr. Alvarado coming off a maiden win in the mud.
Yeah, dangerous team for sure. And this is a horse who had run 2 good seconds against good horses out of town, both at Keeneland and Gulfstream. And then last time out, coming in and using speed to her advantage to win at the mile right here during the Belmont at the Big A. And a horse that looked the part coming in for, as mentioned, the dangerous team. And we'll see what she does. She is facing winners for the first time in here, but she has that really impressive last out race and certainly the foundation you would think to be able to move forward, but there should be some other speed.
Yeah, like a filly right next door to her. She actually showed sprint speed when she broke her maiden, going 6 furlongs. That is Dry Powder, Chad Summers, Jose Lezcano. This one looked maybe like the quick of the quick.
Yeah, I would think so. You know, she didn't get as quickly out of the gate on debut, but she went right up to the front and then obviously stretching out in distance, broke much sharper in her subsequent start. She did win sprinting, but she showed that she could handle with this next second place finish, going the mile, and another one that's kind of lightly raced, been brought along in here as well. She's certainly intriguing because she does have a race against winners and looking like, yeah, she got a little bit tired there at the end, but one that could certainly move forward out of that race.
That is coming up later this weekend. Wilton, 1-turn mile for these 3-year-old fillies. We hope you join us over the weekend to look at coverage at that. Again, race 7, 4:10 Eastern time this weekend. Back to the third. We're about 8 minutes away from this third coming off. We'll kick off the pick 6. Non-winners at 2 Life, 6.5 furlong sprint. $17,000 claiming race, remaining half of this entry. Majula would have made this entry incredibly imposing. That half of the entry comes out. What'd you make of the remaining half here, Blue Eyed Scout?
Well, she's fine. She's a horse that, excuse me, I think took quite a bit of money when breaking her maiden when taking that big drop in class. And then she was claimed by Brad Cox for Sandy Goldfarb. Now, oftentimes those claims really do work out. This is one that hasn't really worked out, and it's bound to happen. For me, that's a little bit of a negative, though, that, you know, we haven't necessarily seen her move forward when, obviously, yes, 2 back, she stepped into much better company, but last time out, I know she ran well, she still wasn't able to get the job done.
Yeah, on a muddy, sealed track, beat by Sea to Cat, and then Busia, or I'm not sure how you pronounce the 5. I've heard it 3 different ways from different race callers. That one, seeing that race and how close that one finished to Blue Eyed Scout, a massive step up from the 5, made me kind of question that race too.
Yeah, I agree. It was the first time with blinkers for Busia in that race, but yeah, it was a race that she really hasn't run anything like it before, and she was 50-1 that day, and they were pretty close there.
7 minutes to post in the third, so the 3 all of a sudden becoming the favorite here at 8-5. Jeremiah Engelhardt and Arad Ortiz Jr. aboard, and at least lightly raced second time in against this level, and had some excuses that first try against winners.
She did, but it was because she broke slowly. She hasn't gotten out of the gate well in any of her starts thus far. And she comes out of that same race as Blue Eyed Scout and Busia, and she was one that was coming from further off of it when closing. I just always worry about her because she leaves herself with so much to do without being able to break well and get herself into the race.
Yeah, broke her maiden from a stalking position. She's got bumped first couple of starts, slow out of the gate last time out. Tough group.
Yeah, it's tough to really trust anybody in this race, to be fair.
I thought, yeah, potentially ripe for an upset, but anybody feels like they can win this race. I actually like the 4 in here at 16-1, but yeah, Brad Cox, we knew it's going to get over bet, especially with that performance last time out. And Arad Ortiz Jr. is always going to take money, and that one is now. Last Mango was 4-1 morning line, but things obviously completely changed in here with the stronger half of that entry coming out of the race. Here's the huge long shot on the board, along with a 6 here, but 14-1 on that. There's Right, who's at least dropping down in company and second-time blinkers. Did battle with a 1-4 favorite on the lead last start.
Yes, and this is a horse that does have some speed. You've got some speed to the inside with Sunset Park, who I think was very much with the track last time out. So I think it's fair to assume that Dat Dares Right, the 4, could be the one that's, forward early and uses that speed to her advantage. We'll see what Manny Franco does with Blue Eyed Scout, especially with Majulu throughout, but I do think that her forward position, and like you said, at least she's been running against better, unlike some of these which have been defeated at this level.
5 minutes to post here in the third post parade coming up momentarily. Let's go down to Maggie.
Yeah, we're a little late hitting the track here. They didn't put that much time in between this race and the last, so tractors are still making their way around the racetrack. But let's check in with the 1A Blue-Eyed Scout, who is your current second choice on the board. Now, I saw her two back when she was coming off a little bit of a layoff and took a lot of money, as Acacia said, just hasn't been one of those Brad Cox claims that has worked out favorably. She does look so much more fit than what she did back on April 23rd. She got hot and washy that day. She just looked really heavy overall, and that's not the case now. Third off the bench, and considering it is so warm, she's sweating enough, but not overly as she was going back to the springtime here. So I thought she ran okay last time, considering that you wanted to be on the front end. She kind of got shuffled back in the turn. Granted, track probably helping her a little bit being on the inside as she was, but again, just an overall physical improvement. Now, number 2 in here, who is on the rail, Sunset Park, she wears that hood. She's a bit of a bad actor, to say the least, and it was on full display here in the paddock. I have to give her groom some props because she went to rear up. They saddled her outside. She went to rear up, and a lot of times horses flip over because they feel that pressure on their face, whether it's on their gums or on their nose, and it just makes them go even harder. But he was so gentle with her, and he just kind of went with her, and she was so close to going over, and because he did that, she just kind of took a few steps backward and caught herself. So job well done to her groom. Just an excellent show of horsemanship and patience. She looks fantastic. If she can hold it together mentally, physically, she looks as though she's doing tremendous, Greg, for Bruce Levine.
Thank you for that, Maggie. Here comes our post parade. As we get a look at the 7, looking to rock. Wow, taking some money for Jenna Antonucci. Let's start with that remaining half of the entry. We'll break in the middle of this field here, Blue-Eyed Scout.
9 to 5 now. She is third off the layoff, so some good notes from Maggie there. We'll see if this is the day that she can run her best race for the newborn.
Javier Castellano looking to go back-to-back, has the rail.
Sunset Park as she tries to keep it together mentally from the inside.
Last Mango, there's a Rad Ortiz Jr.
The biggest thing for her is getting out of the gate. That's been her Achilles heel.
That dares right at 14-1.
I know you have interest in this one at a big price. At least she has been running against better company lately.
Bucia, here is Christopher Elliott for Kevin Bond.
Was it the blinkers last time that made her take a big step forward, or was that race a little bit better on paper than it actually was?
Yeah, muddy sealed track as well that day as we get a look at Shock, who has some speed.
Yes, and gets back to the dirt. Clearly did not handle the turf last time out.
And here again, 12-1, looking to rock from the outside with Katie Davis.
A distant third last time out. It seems that they've kind of been searching for her level. This is her level. We'll see if she can build off of that effort.
So minute to post here in the third. It kicks off this pick 6. The next race, my own 3/8 on the grass. Good luck. 5th race, not easy to separate. I mean, I don't know where. Maybe I thought race 7 was difficult as well. It's very difficult to find anywhere to key in on.
Totally agree. This is, I mean, race 7 is like a mini stake race on the turf today. I mean, you've got some talented horses in there. I thought that there was a very competitive group. And then, you know, as always, wrapping up the card with a New York bred maiden claiming on the turf. Those are usually nice and easy.
Yeah, the 12 in that race, probably a lot of people are going to single to close out artistic success.
Yep.
Got a perfect trip last time out. Now it's an outside post.
And just been tough to keep on the on the track, that horse. Yeah.
Here's the one you're going to wind up with here. So this is Sunset Park, the rail, Bruce Levine, and coming off that maiden claiming win against New York Breds.
Yeah, I was very interested in this one coming in here. Like I said, she was probably with the track last time out, but a horse that I think it's maybe just come along and inside thinking that she should get a good trip. With the scratch of Majulu, you do have the presence of the 4. Dat Dares Right, like I said, who should be forward. We'll see what Blue-Eyed Scout does do. Like I said, Blue Eyed Scout as the favorite is the horse to beat in here. I just think that there's enough knocks against her. I was pleased hearing from Maggie that Sunset Park looks good. Always mentally is the challenge for her, but I'm hoping that she is a horse that's trending in the right direction for Bruce Levine.
Let's go back to Maggie.
Yeah, I was very close to picking her too, Acacia. I'm not in love with her win last time because she was just so with the racetrack and setting very tepid fractions. But I think she'll run well here, as we'll check in with the horse who's been flirting with favoritism, and that is number 3, Last Mango. And there's a lot of upside with her. You know, she was against the racetrack in her last start, as you guys covered, and had that very belated run down the middle of the track. And it was a muddy sealed surface. So now back on the fast track, we see Irad Ortiz giving her quite a vigorous warm-up out there, and I think that's just to remind her, let's brake efficiently, because she was a step slow in that last effort, and 2, Irad is a more aggressive rider than her previous jock. So I like her. I liked her more when she hit the racetrack, very unassuming in the paddock, but kind of came to life once she stepped foot on this Aqueduct main track. And he's gotten her sharp, as you can see out there, which is a good sign. I just like the improvement with your favorite, the 1A Blue Eyed Scout. I totally get not taking her either because, again, like Sunset Park, she was with the racetrack, Greg.
All right, Maggie, thank you. Remaining half of the entry, 7 of 5 in here. Breaks from post 5, Manny Franco. And, you know, Brad Cox and Sandy Goldfarb claimed this one for $40,000. Put into a tough spot against Viamente, who had won 3 in a row. The next 2 off that victory, improving 6 buyer points in each of those efforts. Too tough a spot, now had to drop down and still didn't get it done at this level last start on a wet track.
That's the biggest knock for me. I agree with Maggie. She was with the track, as is Sunset Park, who I liked. The biggest knock for me with a horse like Blue Eyed Scout, though, is that these types of horses that Brad Cox claims, they typically win, especially when dropped so aggressively, I should say, like she was last time out. I get that 2 back she was running against much tougher company, and obviously with Jorge Abreu, she'd been a little bit frustrating, and he'd had to drop her in class in order to get the win as well. So look, maybe this is just the right time for her. I absolutely understand that. I just feel like at a short price, she's a horse that is starting to rack up some of the excuses.
Here's a look at Javier Castellano. Again, the rail, Sunset Park, facing winners for the first time. And was forward doing it last time out. And from the inside, you would have to think, going to try and be forward again in here, but there's plenty of other speed.
I would think so, but I mean, you look at the last race. Yes, it was on the turf, but Javier's aggression paid off, and Sunset Park was certainly flattered by the way the track was playing last time out, but I think being forward is the best type of running style for her.
Blue Eyed Scout, remaining half of the entry. Brad Cox, Manny Franco. 6 to 5 favorite as we're set for the pick 6 on this Thursday card. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Dat dares right. Busia. Sia. Going in. Blue Eyed Scout. Shock. Looking to rock. Last to load to the outside. Here's Looking to Rock. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Bit of a step slow there for Busia. The speed is with Blue Eyed Scout right to the front and unopposed. This Blue Eyed Scout is going to control the early tempo, a lineup of 3 in behind. Here comes Last Mango. Splitting Rivals has now taken a stalking presence from second, is actually going to challenge for the lead as Blue Eyed Scout try to catch a quick breather there, is only ahead in front of Last Mango, who applies the pressure towards the outside. At the rail comes Sunset Park, patiently ridden with a shoved along shock out wider on the red cap. Less than a half mile to go. Right behind them is Dat Dares Right is in fifth to the outside of Busia. After the step slow is now second to last, and the trailer looking to rock. 22 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile. Blue-Eyed Scout tried to dispatch of Last Mango, who's back for more. At the rail, it's a ground-saving journey here for Sunset Park. Just needs a way through, but Blue-Eyed Scout brings them for home here, and Blue-Eyed Scout is going to hug the rail and try to kick on. Last Mango is not going away, and now Last Mango quickly puts a neck in front. Ducking sharply there was Sunset Park at the rail, is trying to gather momentum one more time inside the final furlong. It's Last Mango in front. The momentum is with Sunset Park, but running out of time inside the final 16th. Last Mango will get the score. Last Mango wins it over Sunset Park. Blue-Eyed Scout and Dat Dares Right in 1 minute 16.30 seconds.
Last Mango with the winner at Ortiz Jr., Jeremiah Engelhart. 3-2-1-A finish.
And this was a horse that was taking all that early money, and
an easy time of things against this group here to kick off the pick six. Second choice on the board here at 9-5 to do it.
she actually got out of the gate pretty well today too, by her standards.
Yeah, big difference. Key here as we shift gears, head to Shelbyville, Indiana. Opener, Horseshoe Indy. Mile and a 16th, muddy off the turf today for this Thursday card. And
last time out back in September, if he wins that race, he's a major player.
Rocadora, 0 for 9.
He's a major player.
Rocadora, 0 for 9.
Doesn't have much speed and hasn't shown much late.
And forward, last start on a wet track off the bench for the 4-year-old return, backed up to third. Here's the favorite.
Definitely the best race that he's ever run, and if he runs that again, that's the big question, see if he can repeat it, major player.
Post time coming up as we get set for the opener here in this mile and a 16th state-bred maiden claiming group. Let's check in with Rachel McLaughlin and tell us what to expect for this afternoon here and what's going on with the track.
Hey, Greg. Yeah, I talked to Tony Martinez yesterday and this morning about the track. And, you know, he looked it up and he said, Monday we got an inch. Yesterday we had a horrible storm. I've got limbs down in my yard. Things were blowing around. And we had over an inch yesterday. So just this week has been a little bit confusing. I know some of the fans look outside and they see how sunny and beautiful it is. But we have just been hammered with rain this week. But that's why we're in Indiana. We're not going to let anybody starve. Our crops will grow, but definitely puts a damper on our turf racing. And here, as they're heading to the gate, Greg, just going to let you know, I think the first couple here are chalky today, but the later races that did come off the turf, they didn't get decimated. There still are some really nice options. I think some money to be made. However, I don't know if that's the case here in this race because I think the 6 is the best horse in the race here. Very close in the last one and has a tightener going into this race. So a couple of Aaron West trainees in here, and I think they both have a really good shot. He is off to a wonderful start of the meet. And he is brother to Ethan West, who has the Chug of Gold, very, very talented horse that's going to be running in a big race soon. So definitely rooting for him. But I've got the 6 here in our opener, Greg. Hopefully we can dry out. Tony says it'll be dry and hopefully passed by race 3. So cross your fingers for me, guys.
All right, so that's good news. We will keep our eyes on that track condition. The only race affected on our coverage, race 3, that comes off the grass when we'll be on our FS2 coverage here. But even money favorite, Rachel will go with in here, and the public heavily backing the outside horse too.
Yeah, and he does look to be the one to beat off of that last race. It showed improved speed. It was on a wet track, showed that he could handle it, and showed that he could handle the distance. I thought the 3 House of Gold was a bit interesting, but just a little bit concerned about the stretch out on the bottom side.
A problem for the favorite, isn't it?
He is. Much more sprint pedigree, but I'm wondering, is he going to be aggressive with the presence of the favorite outside?
Yeah, I mean, sprint speed, stretching out, and the 6 tried to do it on the front end last start. See if that one has to adjust. Odds on now, 4-5. John Dooley, here's the opener, Horseshoe Indianapolis.
Felix Ostadillo with Rocadora in the green. Over the mile and a 16th, one more. Sammy Bermudez and 7 times started. Get me 1-2. Four to 5, the first favorite. Get me 1-2. Main track muddy in the Hoosier State for America's Day at the Races. They're in the gate. Going and running at Horseshoe Indianapolis.
House of Gold broke sharply. Hyperion Bridge toward the inside as they make their way toward the first turn. Get Me 1-2 is up into third. And then Crab Crunch with Rocadora and My Miley's Vow has drifted back to last as they enter the first turn with Santo Sanjor. House of Gold to the early lead. It's House of Gold in front by a length and a half to Hyperion Bridge with a red cap. And on the outside is Get Me 1-2 running in third at the 6.5. It's a break of 7 more to Crab Crunch who's running in fourth. Then Rocadora and My Miley's Vow trails here in the Thursday opener. House of Gold's quarter was 24.15 seconds. As they go up the back of the track, gets House of Gold. So House of Gold dictates terms to Hyperion Bridge, and on the outside, Get Me 1-2 is right there, racing a joint second, going past the half-mile pole where House of Gold remains the overall leader. Now still a big break back there to Crab Crunch in third by 2, then Rocadora and My Miley's Vow really struggling at the back of the pack on this muddy track. Half mile, 47.95 seconds, House of Gold. House of Gold's been doing this nicely in front for Santo Sanjor and leads Hyperion Bridge by 2.5. As they come toward the quarter pole, Get Me 1-2 is running in third. It's a break of 8 more to Crab Crunch in fourth but dropping back. Rocador toward the inside, and My Miley's Vow is the distant as these maidens straighten away. It's House of Gold, the longtime leader, 3/4, 1 minute 12.90 seconds. House of Gold looking to finish them off and is an 8-length leader past the 8th pole. House of Gold well clear. Rocadora continues second and staying on from that spot. Late bid by Crab Crunch into third. Get Me 1-2 is dropped back sharply and is well beaten by House of Gold with Santo Sanjor. House of Gold, wire to wire. 1 by 6 from Rocadora. Crab Crunch third. Get Me 1-2. Finish fourth.
I don't think I'd seen an offspring of the DQ Derby winner before a week or two ago, and all of a sudden now they're starting to win at a huge rate here. Junior Alvarado had a win on the Country House that resulted in a pick 6 carryover at 43-1. That was on the turf, I believe. Now another son of a Country House here wins on the stretch out.
Yeah, pretty impressive. As we touched on, this was a horse who was forward in those 2 sprint races, and Santo Sanjor used that speed, and he just ran everybody else off their feet. Obviously was able to handle the distance. I guess the sire power by Country House coming into play there for that distance pedigree, even though the bottom side much more sprint, but able to use it as a deadly combination here. It was over for your the favorite, Get Me 1-2, pretty early.
Back in New York, Arad Ortiz Jr., Jeremiah Engelhardt, and the second choice at 9-5 kicks off the pick 6 Last Mango.
Broke much better today, was in a good position, and just had the best momentum closing late. This horse took a lot of early money and lived up to the billing today, getting the second win of her career, even with a little bit of bumping and interference in the stretch.
Powers away from this group and does it in pretty good time too. 1:16-1 for 6.5 furlongs. Strong for the level. Graduates as non-winners of 2 life condition. 2 wins last 3 starts. Legion Racing Silks and Arad Ortiz Jr. on the board here on this Thursday card. As Last Mango returns $5.90 for the win. Sunset Park Blue-Eyed Scout second, third, 3-2-1A. And 50-cent trifecta, $18.75. And a formful beginning with the second choice on the board, kicking off this Thursday pick 6 sequence. As we look at the fourth here, tough one to decipher. At 1 mile and 3/8 on the lawn, maiden special weight. Who's going to appreciate the distance?
It's interesting that the 5, Kaylin Dana, is taking a lot of money, and I get it. On the pedigree, you look at the connections, you say, okay, well, this one should be able to handle it. She started off her career sprinting 5/8 on the turf at Del Mar.
Yeah.
This is a far different type of race.
Doesn't get out all that quick either.
No.
Leaves herself a ton of work to do. Probably going to be very far back, if not last, early on in this race. We'll talk more about the fourth. Kick off the late pick 5 when we come back from a timeout. Stay with us. A lot more ahead on our Thursday coverage on Fox Sports 2, including a look back to last weekend. And Take charge, Milady. Runner-up in the Ashland, did nothing in the Oaks, and rebounds big in the Monomoy Girl against the returning Immersive. Stay with us.
the most underrated sale in America. Ranked #1 by percentage of stakes winners, stakes horses, and 2-year-old winners. Precocious yearlings selected on pedigree and superior conformation. Plus a showcase of the freshman sires of 2025. Recent grads include Grade 1 winners Chancer McPatrick and Carson's Run, with a growing list of graded stakes winners. Buy smarter, buy earlier, buy in July. The Fasig-Tipton July sale of selected yearlings. July 8th in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be?
Back at our Thursday coverage with you. That's where you can play all the action. Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. We have a late pick 5 coming up. There our Thursday action here at Belmont of the Big A. 9 minutes to post in the 4th. My own 3/8 on the lawn. Here's a look at the field, and there's the 5. Kaylin Dana, who we were speaking to. She is not very sharp coming out of the gate.
Yeah, she isn't. And as mentioned, she spent a lot of her career sprinting. On the bottom side, the siblings have spent a lot of time sprinting as well. She's by Oscar Performance, which certainly could suggest she should handle distance. But it certainly is a question. And as you said, one especially lately who's been pretty far back early in her races.
2-1 favorite. John Velasquez will ride for Neil Drysdale. Let's go down to Maggie.
But those races took place in California, where it just always seems as though they're going faster early than what they are here. Now, I'm not going to say she's suddenly going to be a rocket ship out of the gate, but she comes in here with a bullet drill at Belmont over the training track. And furthermore, this is the furthest that she's gone. So I think those things combined give her the opportunity to come out of there just a bit more efficiently and put herself in a better position. Now, she is a big filly. So to me, at least physically, it looks as though she can handle the distance. And she does wear those cheek pieces as reported, also has a shadow roll. So she's got a lot of fuzzy stuff around her face. But she has gotten awfully warm here. That's the one thing I don't like. I know it's good for them to be sweating, but she's done more so than anybody else that I see in the paddock now or that I've seen all today. So we'll keep an eye on her and how she's behaving. It's not like she's too keen and doing too much. She's just very hot, very washy here in the paddock. So we'll see how she fares, taking a lot of early money as number 1 Ines Paris, I should say. I'm hoping I'm saying that right, as she comes out of a Tampa race, going the mile and an eighth. She was kind of mid-pack saving ground early, but if you watch her closely in the running of that race, looked awfully light-mouthed, and they went fairly fast for the distance there. So it's not like it was a super slow pace for her to get a keen behind. I can see she's probably one that just doesn't like a lot of pressure in her mouth. They only have the chain over her nose here in the paddock. She looks as though she has a rubber D-bit on, so a lot of things telling me that she's just a very sensitive-mouthed filly. So watch her in where she's placed and how much she is fighting Joel Rosario, who admittedly has the best hands for these types of horses. Very athletic, so she makes a great impression here physically and does look incredibly fit and well-muscled coming in off a bit of a break, and two, I think getting a little bit more ground as well within her wheelhouse. And then moving on to number 6, Our Prosperity. I'm really excited to see this filly get more ground. A daughter of Tappet. You know, there's a lot of pedigree to say that this is exactly what she wants to do. She's another one that, at least going a mile and a 16th so far, has been very slow out of the gate. But she also kind of acts that way in the prelims. She's so laid back, so quiet. So that type of mind frame, we heard from Javier Castellano on the broadcast earlier, saying you just want a horse that will relax for you and click off those steady fractions. And I feel like Our Prosperity will do just that. But to give her credit, I know the last race a little slow on the Beyer speed scale. She kind of went against winning trips at Gulfstream. She was far back. She launched a 3 to 4 wide move around the second turn and came closing down that short stretch. So I give her some extra credit points for that race she comes in here off of. Greg.
Riders up, there's Manny Franco aboard the lightly raced, the most inexperienced filly in this group, so maybe some upside with his daughter at Tappet, Our Prosperity.
Yeah, absolutely. And Maggie said one reason that I think it's worth giving her another try, that is not the trip that you want on that turf course down at Gulfstream Park.
Here is the Miguel Clement runner coming in from Tampa.
Yeah, inesperé means unexpected. So she hopefully is not too unexpected in her performance.
7-2, Mandy, Javier Castellano.
A horse that actually has some foundation. Now, she's not a winning type, but she's often right there.
Abundant Love has Jose Lezcano aboard.
Kind of a similar type of running line for this one, but she is a horse that is now second off of freshening.
Here's the only one really being completely dismissed, Lotus Petal.
She actually has a ton of pedigree on the bottom side to suggest that much longer is even better.
Kaylin Dana, Neil Drysdale training the favorite.
See if she can settle down coming in here. She has an intriguing new face and got some high marks as far as being able to handle the stretch out in the paddock.
The Pletcher third-time starter. Here's Our Prosperity with Manny Franco.
And as we mentioned, just totally up against it as far as the trip that you want on that turf course at Gulfstream. You really want to be inside and forward, and she really didn't have anything going her way over that course.
And Lady Mize, Lindsay Schultz has Fernando Jara.
And this is one with some distance experience. Did run going a mile and 5/16 at Kentucky Downs, but a horse that didn't necessarily have a great start that day. Has some tactical speed when she can get into the race well.
Back to the favorite, Pick 5 pool, approaching $100,000. And here's the Neil Drysdale filly, daughter of Oscar Performance. Second dam actually did win at a mile and a quarter on the grass over in France. Let's take a look at that most recent effort out on the West Coast.
Yeah, this is over at Santa Anita, where she finishes third that day, and she's a bit of a price. And I think Maggie's point is an interesting and important one, that the turf races over in California are run differently. You'll see a lot of early speed. You see, I think overall, especially here in New York, more fairer run races here, where you see horses able to come from off of it, or different types of paces. So we'll see where she's positioned in the running of this race coming in here. But I'm a big fan of her sire, Oscar Performance. They can do so many things well, including get a distance of ground on the turf.
So John Velasquez, there he is. He's aboard, 5-2, favorite next door. Here is the lightly raced daughter at Tappet for Todd Pletcher, who you've wound up with.
Yeah, I'm going to give her another try. She's second off of the layoff here, and I'm in good company on this one. But she's a horse that, like I said, just on that Gulfstream turf course, I think if you're watching races, it is important to take that into note when looking at races over that course. It can be really finicky, and just some horses just don't handle it, or if they don't get the trip, they look far worse than they actually are. She actually ran on pretty well, given what she had to overcome.
And it was about a 9-month layoff nearly as well. So expect to see better, you would think, with that race under the belt for Our Prosperity. Let's go back to Maggie for more on the field.
Yeah, I agree with Acacia. So many things to like about Our Prosperity. But let's talk about a horse who has had her chances, as this will be number 2, Mendy's 9th career start. And she's one that, at least physically, looks as though a mile and 3/8 is well within her scope. The problem is that and maybe it's not a problem, it's just an observation, and that she was very aggressive, borderline running off with Javier Castellano in the warm-up. Now it looks as though she's settled since they've linked back up with the pony, and relative to her last start, in which I thought she got a little hot, maybe indicating that she needed one to kind of shake off that ring rust. Didn't get hot today in the paddock, so that's always a good sign. And last time she went forward from that outside post position, it was a strung out field early, and she was 2 to 3 wide throughout, and she kind of got pushed out at the quarter pole by the winner that day. So I thought she ran a very credible race in her first start back as a 4-year-old. I just didn't love the running off, but again, like I said, Greg, it looks as though she's settled since. Maybe she just needed to get rid of some of that nervous energy out on the track.
See what happens coming up. 3 to 1 on this one on your screen. Mendy, second back off the bench for Kerry Bryan.
Yeah, and she's run some credible races, and she's been right there. Just unfortunately, she has had quite a few starts, now making start number 9 for 8 starts so far. 5 of them have been in the money finishes, so she hasn't really shown kind of that ability to seal the deal. We'll see if added ground does help. It's also the second start of her 4-year-old season. Good to see that she's settled a bit more now. She does have a big stride on her, so you would think that she should be able to cover the added distance. My biggest concern with her is just that as she now is ticked over to favoritism, does she have that winning fire, that competitive kind of dominant edge? You know, horses are herd animals when you think about it. And yes, she's being beaten by significant enough margins that you can't say it's hanging. But I think when it's start after start that she's just not able to get the job done, you start to be a little bit hesitant at a short price.
And we got 3 on the board at 5 to 2. I'm not even sure if you had the choice of those 3 at 5 to 2 or the rest of the field who you would want. Just a difficult race.
It's
just, you know, mile and 3/8 distance. Who's going to appreciate it? Tough to tell. You certainly would think the 6 is going to like it for Todd Pletcher, but it's going to need to step up and run better too.
Yeah, she certainly will. She's going to need to run faster, especially if you're just looking at her buyer speed figures. Maybe the 7, Lady Mace, is just not good enough, but I feel like she's being ignored a bit. She's a little bit similar on paper to Mendy, who's a much shorter price, in that she's run races and has run at some distances that would make her at least a fringe competitor, and she's double-digit odds right now, though she's not, of course, a winning type, obviously.
I actually picked her.
Did you? Okay.
I'm surprised she's that big a number. She faced a good one to end last year. I know she's 5 years old now, start number 12. But she's come off 2 of the better run races of anybody in this group on the grass in terms of the figures, but see what she can do. She had a tough outside post last start too from the chute. I know drawn outside again, but not quite as bad as last time out of Monmouth.
But definitely an overlay on price, I think.
And the 6 for Pletcher has become the 5 to 2 favorite now as we get set to kick off this late pick 5 on our Thursday card. There she is, Our Prosperity, daughter of Tappet with Manny Franco. Chris Griffin with the call.
Last to load, Lady Mace to the outside. Goes in, all set. And they're off. Ask for speed as Mendy from in between horses wants to be on the front end, and here comes Lotus Petal to apply pressure there 1-2. Backing off, the early kick there is Abundant Love is now back to 5th. It's going to be a wide run into that turn for Lady Mace, is trying to tuck in. At the rail is In Esprit. Is going to save all the ground. Is a little keen there at the rail. Wants to go. Is right up on heels as they get set to reach the top of the lane for the first time. Mendy is in front. Javier Castellano is going to show the way. 24.53 for the opening quarter mile. Chased by Lotus Petal. Towards the outside, the big long shot at the rail. Joel Rosario. Now patiently ridden is In Esprit, who's more settled. Following them is Lady Mace out in the center of the course. Also keen is the gray. Our Prosperity and Manny Franco. They're to the outside there of Abundant Love. The trailer at the back end of the field is Kaylin Dana. They work into the turn and they're still chasing Mendy. 49.39 for a half-mile time. Still a long way to go for Mendy, who's up by a full length. Lotus Petal is right to the outside, has been there the entire journey. Still a little pumped up at the rail is In Esprit. Wants to go is in third. Patiently ridden to the outside as Lady Mace is in fourth. They haven't changed the running order much. They went 1:15.23 for 3/4 of a mile. Abundant Love, Jose Lescano, they're right there in fifth to the inside of a still keen up on the outside, Our Prosperity. And the trailer, Kaylin Dana. They approach a half-mile left to go, and the leader is Mendy. Mendy is trying to take them all the way. Lotus Petal is still right there towards the outside as they work into the turn. In Esprit is at the rail, and here comes the run towards the outside from Lady Mace. And Fernando Jara, they're on the move. They're launching a rally here 3 wide. Abundant Love is looking for a way through, is in hand, but Mendy is asked the question at the top of the lane. In Esprit gets right off the rail. Lady Mace is going to get the lane. Kaylin Dana made up a ton of ground, saving ground, and now muscling on through. In Esprit wants to hold that spot. Kaylin Dana is trying to split rivals and now does. Mendy is still the leader. 4 of them across the course, and here comes Kaylin Dana. What a move there from John Velasquez on Kaylin Dana to get the victory. Mendy towards the inside is going to take second, then came In Esprit and Lady Mace in 2:15.4.
Kaylin Dana, Neil Drysdale, John Velasquez, third off the bench, gets to the wire first.
Yeah, and had to wait for some running room there in the stretch and kind of muscle through a little bit, but had a ton of horse at the top of the lane coming on. And when she was able to get through, she really did finish with the best momentum and clearly relished the distance and the early money that she did take. It's right here as In Esprit kind of swaps leads and kind of leaning in a little bit at that point, and here John Velasquez and Kaylin Dana trying to get through that gap. I'm not sure if the 2 Mendy was maybe coming out a little bit as well, but it was tight. But when she finally got through, she was the one finishing best.
The Ship East, well worth it. Kaylin Dana, appreciating this mile 3/8 here, 2:15.4 final time. And 11th time, the charm as you look at this point down on the fence.
Yep, this is the point right here. It does get a little bit tight as she starts to try and muscle through. It's just tough to tell who is leaning in or out from that angle. As I said, she definitely had the best momentum, but did have to work out a bit of a trip there in the stretch.
See if we can get a head-on look at it eventually here. Kaylin Dana, though, 3-1. Unofficially 5-2-1-7. And we will get a look now at this better angle.
So it's the white cap with the white noseband, that shadow roll there. So right here is there is some bumping between her and the 1.
One came in initially a little bit.
Yes, I do think it was at that point where the 1 swapped leads that she came in. But it's tough because it's at a moment where the 5 really has the best forward momentum, and that bumping does occur.
So 5-2-1-7, Kaylin Dana for now, your winner. We're going to take a timeout. Wins here at 3-1. See if anything gets posted when we come back as we are underway here in this late pick 5 here in the 4th. Belmont at the Big A.
Introducing Giftbox, winner of the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap. He's a 3-time graded stakes-winning millionaire with 4 triple-digit buyers and a 4 Ragozin to his name. He proved himself early as a graded stakes place 2-year-old, and now his career as a stallion is just getting started. From the first crop of the leading sire Twirling Candy out of a multiple graded stakes producing mare. Giftbox, only at Lane's End.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got them. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
The only colt ever to win 3 one-mile Grade 1s on dirt. Ran the fastest buyer of the year. That's him, 6 wide, streaking clear.
Here comes Cody's
2 more Grade 1s at 7/8. Here's his Forgo, also running a 112 bite. That's 5 Grade 1s all told. No other son of Sire of Sires Curlin has so many. They say, be careful what you wish for. We agree.
Japan's legacy of beauty lives in all we do. Rare sensibilities and breathtaking skill show the way to the finish line. That beauty and that power take you to another world. Racing is art.
Back on our Thursday coverage on Fox Sports 2. What an incredible week it was for that man right there, winningest rider in the history of Saratoga, John Velasquez. 9 wins, 6 stakes, led all riders in victories. Get to win here for Neil Drysdale to kick off the late pick 5.
Yeah, just an amazing Belmont week. And to talk to Johnny afterwards, I know many of us feel this way. I always enjoy getting a chance to kind of pick apart a race with him. He's so insightful in the way that he reads a race and his immediate feedback on it, or feedback on a perhaps tricky type of horse as well. And love to hear his thoughts from this, is kind of muscling through in the stretch. But it is always amazing to get a chance to hear the way just he thinks about a race and puts it together. Truly a master at work.
Daughter of Oscar Performance with the victory, Kaylin Dana, $8.40 for the win, underway in this late pick 5, 5-2-1 finish. As we'll get into the pick 4 in a moment, we're going to head back to Horseshoe Indy. And track upgraded to good, so drying out already. Start of the day muddy, good now. We have the 6 furlong sprint coming up. Let's go to Rachel.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I have a little bit of history with some connections in here, so I went down to talk to Danny Simpson. Daniel Simpson is what he's going by now. But when I started at Hoosier Park as an intern, 14 years ago, don't want to age myself, a very long time ago, Danny was an outrider there. He worked for Barb McBride in her barn, and we got some really great content with him. So I've known him forever. I went down and talked to him a little bit, and he said, you know what, Rachel, you're a jinx, so I'm really not going to tell you my game plan. I'm just going to say I'm hoping that we make it to the winner's circle. So I had my intern look up some nice stats. His name's Nathan Klein, Nathan the Caller on X. You guys have to follow him. He's hilarious, and I call him my little stat rain man. So he confirmed that Mitchell and Danny just won together on Monday on Absolute Miracle. So they're hot together. Mitchell's been hot the last couple weeks. So Ace Reporter, the 7, is one of Danny's trainees. He also has the 2, Castle Magic, in here. And I do know Amy and John for a long time, the owners. They are some of the most caring people, and they really, really like the other Daniel Simpson trainee in here. They think that this mare is going to run pretty big. They're both going into starters from claiming races, which is a little bit different, but can't say enough about Amy and John. They truly love their horses. They always try to find good homes for them and great careers after they retire or they're done racing. So always rooting for wonderful people who are additions to the owners group. But Marcelino, also one of our top jockeys, I'm rooting for the connections here. But Ace Reporter, I also think definitely has a good shot here to win it on the outside, guys.
Rachel, thank you. Yes, speed outside. There is Plenty of other speed, though, in this race, too.
Yeah, there does look like there should be. I mean, especially you look at Unbridled Divine from the rail, you would imagine would have to be aggressive on the inside there. Blinkers going on the 2. Castle Magic. Eyeshadow has some speed as well. We'll see what Ace Reporter does to the outside. So it should be interesting as far as this pace and how it does play out. But obviously with your favorite Ace Reporter, the big drop in class makes this one stand out on paper.
But yeah, it sounds like, as Rachel was just telling us, a lot of support for the other half of this, or the uncoupled stablemate, I should say. The 2, Castle Magic, blinkers on, 6-1 for the Daniel Simpson barn as well. And this one, quick early, blinkers going on. So they obviously want this one, you would think, to be forward. A 5-time winner. It's been first or second in 12 of 24 tries.
Amazingly consistent, though, at low levels. And so it's stepping up slightly off the claim here. And you do have some that are taking a drop in class that have been facing tougher company. So we'll see how Castle Magic does stack up. Now, one thing I will say is you look through her past performances, she has been a short price in all of her races since October, and you're getting her at 6-1 today. So if you're a fan of this horse and how consistent she is, today's the day that you'd be getting a good price on her.
You know, you look at the rail. This one facing easier was 11-1 last time out. Handled Ace Reporter pretty easily when they met late last year. 3-1 right now on the one.
Yeah, it's interesting and was disappointing last time out, but against a notch tougher. We'll see if she's able to turn the tables in here, and maybe it's just that last race that's kind of glaring for people. But prior to that, she was in exceptional form. So I think it's fair to assume that she would be able to get back on track with that, and especially drawn to the rail at the inside. You'd think it simplifies things. You've got to be aggressive and use that forward position.
Here we go, loading up. There's Unbridled Divine stepping in, 5-2 second choice right now. Favored still Ace Reporter from that outside slot for Daniel Simpson, who also has Castle Magic, the 2. John Dooley with the call. Here's the second from Horseshoe Indy.
Like Unbridled Divine, both for John Hadron. Tap the line. Santos Sanjo are riding for a double. Joe Ramos with Honey Red. Main track here now labeled good. One more. Mitchell Merrill with Ace Reporter. This starter sprint field with 25 wins between them. Seconds of the day, they're in the gate. And they're off. Eyeshadow, Honey Red, Ace Reporter up there on the far outside, and the gray is Unbridled Divine. It's Eyeshadow. So with those red blinkers, Eyeshadow focused on getting the lead and is in front of Ace Reporter, who's now pressing the pace with Unbridled Divine, tracking them from third by a half length. On the outside is Castle Magic running in fourth with Honey Red fifth, going past the half-mile pole. Let's break a 6 more to Barb's Vortex and Tap the Line trails over this now good track as they enter the far turn. The quarter for Eyeshadow, 22.32 seconds. With Alberto Burgos, it's Eyeshadow, who leads around the far turn from Ace Reporter, who continues to pursue. Unbridled Divine with a bid toward the rail. Castle Magic is coming up on the far outside, and Castle Magic is picking up. It's Eyeshadow past the quarter pole. Honey Red is the wide out. Barb's Vortex and Tap the Line is last. Top of the stretch. Half mile, 45.80 seconds. Up the rail for Fernando de la Cruz. Unbridled Divine has taken a lead with 1 furlong to go. Eyeshadow led, but has dropped back. Ace Reporter, and on the outside is Barb's Vortex with a late run. They're close to home. It's Unbridled Divine, Ace Reporter, Unbridled Divine. Unbridled Divine gets the result by 2. From Ace Reporter, Red, back and forth.
Big long shot there. The 4 making it close for a second. It looks like 1-7 for Unbridled Divine, though. Does it again to Ace Reporter.
And this time wasn't aggressive from the rail. In fact, set a stalking trip, but came up the inside and took over and had plenty left in the tank. And I think was certainly helped by the fact that the 7 Ace Reporter did not switch leads, was kind of hanging on that inside left lead there and looked reluctant to switch and nearly lost second with the close of that 4 Barb's Vortex.
So Unbridled Divine, Fernando de la Cruz, John Horan team up for the win. 5 wins now from 16 career starts. And a couple of victories over Ace Reporter down the last 2 times that they have met. And you get floated up late. It was down to
4-1.
It was down to 5-2, but certainly 3-1 for sure.
Yeah.
Goes up to 4-1 in the end. Late pick 4 coming up next. We'll set the stage for it when we return. 7 furlongs, starter optional claiming race, Uncle Jim. Huge race, 2 back. Went backwards a little bit next time out, but cuts back in distance for Linda Rice coming up.
Bucaro, any day.
Book 'em, Dano. Prince of Monaco in between. It's going to get very close. Book 'em, Dano.
Any track.
결승선 끝까지 사전 사승. 최고의 꿈, 최고의 꿈, 최고의 꿈.
Any surface.
And it's Queen Maxima in a one-horse race. She is absolutely brilliant. Queen Maxima.
Bucaro, a leading sire of stakes winners on every surface from coast to coast and around the globe. Standing in New York at Iron Horse Stallions.
Back with you on our Thursday coverage. You're watching America's Day of the Races on Fox Sports 2. Late pick 4, approaching the 10-minute mark to post. 7 furlongs, main track, starter optional claiming race. We're this one right here. Uncle Jim, the favorite, and if he can somehow find that race from 2 starts ago, he's going to win again.
Yeah, but you look at it, and that race certainly does stick out like a sore thumb and regressed last time, but it really was back to the speed figures that were consistent with what he was running prior to that. And to be fair, last time as well, he got shut off a couple times in the stretch and really didn't have much room to run. But when winning with that 83 Beyer speed figure, second place finisher Jerry Zout came back to win his next 2 starts with 78 and 79. There was another horse from there that won his next 2 starts as well, and another one who won. So it was a live race, to be fair.
So is Uncle Jim that horse we just showed you in that February 28th race, or the race, or the horse we've seen the 4 other times where he's not been nearly as fast as we go to Maggie?
Well, Greg, not that the heavy favorite needs any more positives and superlatives to be used on him. Uncle Jim, it looks as though those few months away from the races have done him very well. And let's not forget, this is a race for 3-year-olds, restricted to 3-year-olds. And at the end of the day, they're still relatively young horses, and they still have the opportunity to grow a bit. And wow, he's grown a lot. Just in those 2 to 3 months that I haven't seen him, which I always think is a good sign because, you know, progressing 3-year-olds can be very, very dangerous no matter what level you're participating at. He looks sensational overall, looks like your typical Linda Rice horse, where his conditioning, his coat, and everything are excellent. And furthermore, I've always felt as though a little less ground is preferable for him. So all things good for your favorite. Like you said, though, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, will he be able to get back to that race 2-back? I think so, especially getting back to a fast track, and this 7 furlongs I think suits him down to the ground. Moving on to a horse that's a bit of a price in number 1, Easy Bourbon. Now, I don't really know what to think of this guy because he kind of, you know, won a race that was awfully hungry in 2-back in that maiden 30 for State Breds. But then his last start was pretty good, in which that was the race that Jerry's Out was able to win. So Easy Bourbon was a horse that I've always liked physically, and he was just very disappointing in his 2 efforts, but I suppose getting out to a mile has brought him success. Now, again, he looks tremendous here for Mark Hennig as he does come off a little bit of a layoff. It looks like a happy, healthy horse. It's just, who is he? Does he actually need the mile? Is he going to be okay at the 7 furlongs? I'm not sure. Again, Greg, if I felt very confident, I would prefer this race being a mile for him. But again, your favorite looks excellent here in the paddock.
Well, good news if you like Uncle Jim. Thank you, Maggie. 8-5 choice. Winning the beauty pageant, but Easy Bourbon showed some improvement last time out, and that was at a mile against this company. Kay Davis back aboard for Mark Hennig. When we return, they'll kick off the post parade right after this.
Introducing a stallion as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Beyer speed figures, a 3-time Grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
For years now, Monmouth Park's 50-cent Win Early Pick 5 has helped players win early and often. This year, we're adding more. Monmouth Park's new Middle Pick 5 boasts a player-friendly 15% takeout and more opportunity to score. Start your day winning early. Continue to winning more. Play Monmouth Park's Win Early and Middle Pick 5s. First post 12:50 weekends, 2 p.m. Fridays.
The brilliance of the legendary Arrogate and the speed and stamina of the sire of sires, Uncle Mo. Introducing Petulante, the first son of Arrogate to stand in New York after winning handily at first asking.
Petulante! He's got a kick here, and he's going to prove much the best.
He won or placed in all 7 of his lifetime starts, including the Grade 3 Salvatore Mile.
Petulante, Nimbus Class, Petulante!
Petulante, now standing in New York. For information, visit IHDVStallions.com today.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you.
Good to have you with us here on Fox Sports 2. Getting set for the post parade in the race that's going to kick off the Pick 4. This 5th, 7 furlongs. And here is Easy Bourbon. We saw Katie Davis, Mark Hennig going to break. They'll team up.
And this is a horse who finished second behind Jerry's Out, who was the one who finished second behind Uncle Jim in that very impressive win.
Lou should be pretty far back early.
Always one that comes from far off of it. Now, he always takes money as well. This is the other Linda Rice.
Uncle Jim, was that race 2 back for real? Got positive remarks from Maggie in the paddock.
And we'll soon get to learn a little bit more about him. To be fair, last time he faced Uncaged, who would go on to run in the Peter Pan and Belmont and didn't have the best trip that day.
Maybe the horse can pressure Uncle Jim early, social hour.
Yeah, a horse that didn't have an easiest trip last time out either, but one who does have some tactical early speed.
And Hot Spun, Christopher Elliott writes.
Can he run back to that race 2 starts back? He disappointed last time when wide out there on the track, and they're very eager coming in here. It is a little bit of a question mark as he stretches out to the 7 furlongs. He won at 6.5 and ran okay going the mile, but he's one that I think has some forward position and has some good enough races that he's consistent enough that he might be the other horse in here.
Second time against winners, Maggie, for Social Hour, who's 5-2 right now.
Yeah, and I think that's a fairly square price on him. You know, this race has a few horses that are consistent. What you see is what you're probably going to get in their effort today, whereas some of the others, they have that one big race like your favorite in here, Uncle Jim. However, Social Hour is one of those consistent types. And as Acacia kind of pointed out, eager, but not doing too much. And I think that this is a horse that just shows everything, especially in his disposition, that you want from a horse about to enter the starting gate, because he's just been contained. He's been moving very well. His weight, his conditioning, everything is probably at the peak. And the best that I've seen it from him in the past is he's kind of second off that bit of a layoff. And Acacia also highlighted the fact that he did not have an ideal trip. So I think that he can handle the 7 furlongs. And I mean, I just really kind of like what I'm seeing from him overall, from his time in the paddock to out on the racetrack. Does wear those front wraps, so however, yet again, as I read, putting his nose to his chest with that type of, as we call, 6-5 hold. Moving on to number 2, Lou. Another consistent type. You see, what you see is what you get. You also see a horse that is completely devoid of early speed, and God bless every rider that I've ever seen get on his back. They try to warm him up, and they often send him away from the pony, and he's just like, yeah, I'm still going to come out of there slow. He just doesn't care. You can almost see it in the way that he just moves away down the racetrack. He's a small horse. You know, he gives that impression that he isn't going to grow much, and I feel like he's probably one that has reached his ceiling already. And I get it. Maybe if you think there's going to be some hitting up front, he comes closing, which he always does. He's just not my type of horse. And I know he's 2 for 14, so it's not a terrible record, but he just kind of gets there, but doesn't often do enough to win, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfectly put. He probably runs most consistently the best races of anybody in here, but he just leaves himself too much to do.
He does, and these types of horses are tough. They're tough to trust. They're tough to take at a potentially short price. He's 2-1 again. He always takes some money. Even you look at the race 2 starts back. I remember just being amazed by how much money he was taking because the track was playing where you really wanted inside speed, and everybody knew that Lou was going to be last, and he just still takes attention, and he still runs the same kind of race. So for that, you have to give him credit. I agree with Maggie. I don't think he's going to change at this point, but yes, he's tough to take just given his running style.
2-1, now 9-5. Wow. Second choice as it's still Uncle Jim. And there he is as the 3-2 favorite, who Maggie, looking at him in the paddock, says this one has grown up a little bit.
Which is always good to hear. You know, a lot of the progeny of City of Light are very good looking in the way that they're put together. And her point about this race being for 3-year-olds, I think, is an important one because, you know, you look at even, obviously, these are not the same level of a type of horse going into the Travers or whatever it might be, but you look at some of the later developing 3-year-olds and horses that we see step forward in a race like a Travers that were not around come Kentucky Derby time. There's still a lot of development that can happen at this stage.
So 7-5. Keep your eyes early on this one, too. Is this the horse to pressure Uncle Jim up front with Irad Ortiz Jr.? He's 2-1 as well. But this one favored throughout. Late pick 4. Centered around this one here in this opening leg. The 3, Uncle Jim, Linda Rice, Jose Lezcano. Let's go to Chris Griffin to get us started.
Lou stepping forward. Uncle Jim. Two out. Social Hour and Hot Spun. Hot Spun to the outside. Ended. All set. And they're off. Quick speed at the rail from Easy Bourbon, right there as well as Social Hour, and Social Hour with a nose in front. In between horses, Uncle Jim doesn't want to lose ground, and now Uncle Jim splits rivals and takes the lead, is up by a neck. To the outside, that's going to push Social Hour back to second. At the rail, that's Easy Bourbon. Center of the racetrack comes Hot Spun, and far back early is Lou. They're chasing Uncle Jim. Uncle Jim went 22.49 for that opening quarter mile. Social Hour still stalking towards the outside here from second. Ground-saving journey for Easy Bourbon, and Katie Davis at the rail in third. Moving forward is Hot Spun. Christopher Elliott, wide run, and the trailer still Lou. Uncle Jim is starting to sprint away. Social Hour is trying to stay right with this leader. Easy Bourbon is called upon for the effort here from third. They went 44.72 for a half-mile time. The top trio remains. It's still Uncle Jim in front. Social Hour ready to pounce towards the outside, and Easy Bourbon will tip to the outside side of the racetrack as well. Hot Spun's trying to rally on. A long way back, Lou is starting to commence a rally as they're approaching a final furlong. It's Uncle Jim still trying to fight off Social Hour, who moves in closer. Lou is catching with every single stride. A 16th left to go. Uncle Jim at the rail. Social Hour towards the outside. These two down to the line. Give it to Uncle Jim. Uncle Jim holds on over Social Hour, then a 3-horse photo in behind them. That was Lou with Easy Bourbon and Hot Spun at 1 minute 22.65 seconds.
Uncle Jim desperate for that wire and able to get there in time. 2 wins last 3 starts now.
He dug in late when the cavalry charge was coming and used that speed to his advantage. Jose Lezcano was aggressive with him, and he had enough in the tank coming in off the freshening, growing up, the strengthening. Social Hour was on his hip every step of the way and looked like he was trying to grind out a victory there. They made it exciting. And how about good old Lou? Greg just came rolling late, finishing 3rd or 4th, I believe, but he was right there.
There's another zip code most of this race.
I know.
But that's what he always does. He always comes rolling late. Did he get 3rd? It was close.
I think he might have just missed 3rd.
6-5, Uncle Jim. Linda Rice, winning move stable, Jose Lezcano, and one more look. The race on for 3rd.
Oh, he got a bob there, Lou. But I think, as the photo's still up, yeah, the number 1, Easy Bourbon, got his nose down first.
3-5-1-2. 6-5 favorite starts this pick 4. And we're not letting you go.
Yes.
You can leave the desk, but you have to stay on the grounds. You're going to go report now.
I will. I'm going to run down to the paddock.
All right, we'll see you downstairs as you continue along. Good to spend a little bit of time with you.
Yes, as always.
Andy Sterling coming back in on the desk here after a short timeout. Acacia will be reporting as we continue along. It's Uncle Jim. 2 wins now, last 3 starts, able to hold off Social Hour and the rest of this group here in the 5th.
Number 1 is Mo Donegal by Uncle Mo. And they're off in the Remsen. As they come on for the finish, and it's going to be tight here in the Remsen. Mo Donegal bearing down on the outside. It's Mo Donegal and early voting, and it is Mo Donegal to win the Wood Memorial. And it will be Mo Donegal to win the Test of the Champion, the Belmont Stakes.
nestled behind the gates of Hillendale Farm at Alapa, you can find a cabin-like 5,000 square foot home called the Treehouse. It's a new one-of-a-kind getaway destination located in the heart of horse country. The home offers hewn beams, flooring made from lumber harvested from Maker's Mark's original rickhouse. A room with vintage horse saddles, the collection includes one that belonged to the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley. You can enjoy a drink or a meal on the back screened porch or one of 4 decks that overlook the tranquil Stoner Creek. Upon request, reservations can be purchased to experience an inside look of a working thoroughbred farm with a tour of Hillendale. The Treehouse now offers a unique place to stay on the grounds that house the famed Kentucky Stallion Station and Thoroughbred Nursery of Hillendale at Alapa.
Back on our Thursday coverage on Fox Sports 2 on this gorgeous Thursday afternoon, a warm one in South Ozone Park. It's brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Back with me on the desk, Andy Serling, good to see you.
I tell you, I missed you, Greg. It was a very, very tough hour without you. I went outside. It's cooler outside than it is in here in our studio, but it's nice to be back. And got some good racing coming up, especially the 7th race, the feature, a very competitive race.
Yeah, I can't wait for that 7th race. That is a tremendous field that's going to line up on the grass. A lot of ways to go in there. Big Everest trying to bounce back for Miguel Clement in that one. And
Cugino.
Speed, too. There's 3 horses that want to go to the front in that race.
Yeah, it figures to be an honest pace. And I'm interested to see what Cugino does, because I still feel he was the best 3-year-old turf horse in the country last year. And we've seen deterministic step up. We need these horses to step up. We need a more competitive older horse turf division, especially because the best one going a mile, Carl Spackler, he's parking on an around-the-world trip that probably won't produce the same results it produced here.
Didn't in the Queen Anne,
No.
at least. Here's Uncle Jim, who looked like it was becoming troublesome here to finish.
This was quite a battle of attrition. 109.15 the 6 furlongs is somebody that doesn't agree with Greg and I. The track is playing fast. He's wrong. We're right.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, if they went about 10 more yards, you might have seen a completely different trifecta in this race, with the 3 and 5 not in the top 3 slots.
You don't understand this is a fast track. You need to pay more attention, maybe.
You don't need, it's one thing to say, I think it's a big bias after one race. But when horses like in the first race went the kind of fractions they did, it's the track, baby.
Here's race 6. Look at the Coronado. 6 furlong sprint, $40,000 claiming race, and will be famous. Willow Bend meet again.
Yeah, I took Willow Bend in this race. I'm suspect of Will Be Famous continuing her good form. She was in Brad Cox's barn, spent a little time with Ilke Cantermachi, but she's obviously been very good, and she is the horse to beat.
Horseshoe Indy. Race meant for the grass. They're off the turf. It is a drying out racetrack. Started muddy. We're good now. And take a look at the field that will line up in here. A 3 to 5 main track only entrant. Let's go to Rachel.
How'd she do, Ricky? Yeah, guys, we definitely had this race change from turf to dirt, and there is not a lot of off form here in this group, but we did get the MTO in. We've got a 7-horse field going postward, and Ricky Giannini, who is the assistant to Brad Cox, the trainer of the 11, Giant Moon, over here talking to us for some of our Indiana Derby coverage that's coming up here in about 16 days. Giant Moon, though, coming off a 2nd place finish, and he said, hey, it's the MTO. He's the main track horse. We were hoping that he'd get in for this race, and he did. So looking much the best in this field. Another couple of others that I had slated. I really like the 7 at a little bit of a price. Right now, the 7 sitting on the board, though, at 3 to 1. With the scratches, obviously, those morning line odds were going to go down. I didn't think he was going to get that much action. But this 3-year-old colt, Dan Dioro, Kent DeStormo trains, dropped down in class, has really been interesting here for this one, who's going from a 20 to 12.5 and has ran the 2-turn distance and done pretty well at it. So I'm hoping we'll get in the money. But yeah, Ricky and Giant Moon, Ricky Giannini just really said that he thinks that this horse is much the best in this field. And I can't agree more. As I said at the beginning, I think that this horse just, there isn't a lot in this field left for off track and dirt form. So Giant Moon is who I'm going to go with on top. Hopefully can get a little bit of early speed. As I did say, sprinting on the dirt here has been quite a speed bias. The 2 turns, though, it's a little bit more fair, but I think he's got a good shot here on the outside, guys, for our 3rd race here at Horseshoe Indy.
Main track only entrant, 3-5 favorite here with a surface switch.
I don't think there's anybody on earth that was surprised that Giant Moon is 3-5 in this race. You've got Brad Cox with a horse that finished second with a 62 buyer on the dirt, was the only MTO in the race. Now, I do think Dandoro is the other horse, but take a look at Dandoro's races, compare him to Giant Moon, look at Brad Cox, and you've got a horse that should be under even money in this race. There's nobody else on paper that makes any sense. I mean, I don't know who's going to win this race if not one of these two. I mean, Predecessor had some good early races, but when they stretched this horse out, he was completely ineffective. And I think this distance is at least, is it 7.5 in the dirt, or go to 1.70 miles? I'm not even sure it's not longer. So I'm not going to pick against the 11. And I think, frankly, I think 4-5 is probably a fair price versus 4-5 on their board. We have 3-5. It's showing 4-5 on the Indiana board.
4-5 would be.
Just could pay $3. I wouldn't have been surprised.
Generous,
right.
I would think. Yeah. Here we go. John Dooley, the call, 3rd coming off the grass at Horseshoe Indy.
Assessor loading. Just a couple to back. Jose Riquelme with Dandoro. One more. Brad Cox's main track only, Giant Moon. 3-5 on Giant Moon, Fernando de la Cruz. Riding for a double on the card. House of Gold and Umbrella Divine, our first 2 winners. Main track good. They're in the gate. They're off. Commander's Coin broke alertly. Giant Moon with an early bid, and Predecessor, Royal Blue in the white halves, is right there taken back. And toward the inside here is Victor C for Mitchell to lead them as they round the first turn. Victor C takes the top with Giant Moon second on the outside. Dandoro is running a 3rd of the 6.5 after breaking sharp. Commander's Coin taken back between horses, and Predecessors wide as they go to the back. Then comes Ground Shaker, and Hope of Glory has dropped back to last as they make this backstretch run. The opening quarter in 25.06 seconds, it's Victor C. So Victor C leads the maiden mile, but it's a short lead as Giant Moon is right there on the outside. Victor C and Giant Moon staying close to the front runner. Well, racing 3 clear from Predecessor, who's just in 3rd. Jose Riquelme and Dandoro looking to make headway with the rail, and Commander's Coin between that pair. Ground Shaker is racing some 7 from the joint leaders as they enter the far turn, and Hope of Glory being asked to pick up now from Eddie Esquivel from out of last. The half mile for Victor C, prompted by Giant Moon, who's been close. 49.50 seconds, inside 3 to go. Giant Moon and Victor C on even terms as they take this toward the quarter pole, and Giant Moon has gained the advantage. Victor C tries to rally on. Dandoro being driven in 3rd, Predecessor, Ground Shaker, Commander's Coin, and Hope of Glory. They're homeward bound, and it's Giant Moon, and Victor C responds to the pressure. 3/4, 1 minute 13.92 seconds. It's Giant Moon narrowly. Victor C gamely toward the inside as they come inside the final half furlong. Dandoro's 3rd, well clear. Ground Shaker into 4th. With Fernando de la Cruz, it's Giant Moon. Giant Moon won by 4.5 from Victor C. Dandoro 3rd, and Ground Shaker finished 4th.
Main track only, Brad Cox Barn goes off at 3-5, gets the win with Fernando de la Cruz.
I mean, I guess the only question was the distance with this horse, but you got a Gormley from a Giants Causeway mare, and only had to go faster than the ones you're in against. And when you take a look at the PPs of the second horse, surprising this horse didn't win by more. I'll be honest, 3-5, if not, it's not the wrong price. If it's anything wrong, it was an overlay.
We're going to take a timeout. Christopher Elliott following in Dad's footsteps and trying to hang around in a very tough Colony, the toughest in the game. We're going to see him on board the favorite in the next race when we come back.
Monaco's too good for Moose. An impressive winner of the best pal. Miramondi's all hot, but Prince of Monaco too good.
Prince of Monaco, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Introducing Peace and Justice, new to New York in 2025. A proven sire with over 200 wins, 16% wins per starts, and one of only 2 New York-based stallions to have a graded stakes winner at Saratoga in 2024. Now, with 3 different racing surfaces coming to New York, and with New York breds running for equal purses as open company, Peace and Justice is the sure choice for 2025. Peace and Justice, now standing at Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions in New York.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
I remember being 2-3 years old, going to the track and looking at the horses since the beginning, pretty much, you know. When I was like 14 years old, we were in California and my dad had won a stake at Del Mar. That's when I started thinking about it.
Smarty Jones and Stewie Elliott goes on to win the Kentucky Derby by 2.5.
I've watched the Derby and the Preakness and the Belmont 150 times or more, you know. It was just really, really cool.
I thought that there was probably a good chance that he would want to, ride, but moving sometimes made it difficult. When we got here, the first couple years, I'd get on the pony and he'd get on the thoroughbred and take him around the track. Then he went to Ocala and then came back and then actually started galloping on the track. When they all start off, they're all pretty green, but he wanted it. He wanted to learn.
After every race, pretty much, I talk to him, and he says, "Oh, you did great," or "You could have done this. Maybe you should have done this." And I think that's why I've been able to get better in the quick amount of time that I have, because he's been a big help. My agent is Jose Santos Jr. I started off the meet at Lone Star Park in Texas. I actually rode my first winner the first race that I rode at Lone Star. And after that meet, I had rode about 85, 90 horses. He said, "Listen, this is the plan. We'll go to Monmouth, you'll ride a little bit over there, and then after Monmouth, we'll check out New York." My first stakes winner was for Tina Hurley. It was my 6th winner at Monmouth Park in the Regret Stakes. I was way in the back, and they were flying up front, and I came like maybe 12 lengths out of it and won.
Reclusive from a mile behind is coming fast, takes the lead for apprentice Christopher Elliott.
The first person I called when I was back at the jockey room was him.
It's very exciting, it is. Just in the last year when he started, he accomplished a lot. He got his driver's license, he graduated high school, and he got his jockey's license and got off to riding races, so I'm very proud.
This is the one Christopher Elliott will ride coming up here in the 6th. He's been on this one before, as recently as late March on the 29th. And this one handled Willow Bend, who is favored right now pretty handily when they met back in April.
If she runs her good race, she's going to be a handful in this race. There's no question about it. I have no argument with it. I just wonder if she's going to be able to continue to maintain this good form. Nothing against Rob Atras. It's just, I just wonder if she really kind of improved. Will she tail off? But this, of course, I've always liked Greg. I lost plenty of money on her, like her first, second, and third starts after she had some kind of ridiculous trips in some early races. And she finally started to put it together long after I was losing my money on her. But I think she's the horse to beat, and frankly, she's not going to be 3-1. This is a little odd. She is favored in the multi-race bet. She looks like she's around 2-1 in those races, which isn't a huge favorite. I went to the 5, though.
You get Christopher Elliott, so you get a bit of a weight break as well. The Apprentice, you get 5 pounds, so we'll carry 118. Willow Bend, meanwhile, who this one had beat on the square, carrying 121 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of hoping that Willow Bend picking a switch to Flavien Prat. Flavien can get her a little bit more into the game. She needs to be a little bit more forward, and I'm hoping she can turn the tables, but I don't have any illusions that the 3 is the horse to beat.
Meanwhile, outside, Opened is the favorite, which was a little shocking. It was early money. Miss Lau, 7-2 right now. Manny Franco, Brad Cox off the claim.
The Brad Cox, Sandy Goldfarb claims have been exceptional, and based on that, you cannot just dismiss this horse. But as the president of the Dennis Lallman fan club, I wouldn't want to claim from Dennis and hope I could move that horse forward. And it felt to me like she was tailing off a little bit. Yeah, she won her last start. She paid $370. She could have paid $240, and I don't think she would have been an underlay in there. And I wonder if his form's tailing off a little bit. And I was talking actually to Sandy Goldfarb a little earlier in the paddock, and he thought maybe, they were expecting to run in a slightly lower level race, and feels like this is a tough spot for her. But listen, I'm not going to be surprised when this horse runs well for Brad. She's just not my cup of tea in here.
7-2 from that outside slot. Yeah, she would need, coming off that win last start, she was expected to win that race too. She did at 4-5. But
she needs to run better to win here. Yeah, and listen, I mean, this is a very dangerous barn, and not just the barn, the combination of Sandy and Brad Cox's barn. And it's not really Brad, it's more the here it's really more about the assistant, the kind of tremendous job he's been doing here all year long. But I'm going to go against this horse in general. I don't want horses claimed away from Dennis.
Dustin Dugas, Brad's assistant here in New York.
Dustin's, I mean, it's his results speak for themselves. If you haven't been paying attention, if you don't realize what a good job he does, then you're just not paying attention.
And there is the Brad Cox runner, 4-year-old filly by Lauban with Manny Franco leg up. 7-2. Here comes our post parade. Called a post in the background. Like a Rolling Stone, the biggest number on the board.
But was the answer to a question on Jeopardy last night?
Was it?
Yes, it was a Jeopardy question. The betting in final yesterday was so embarrassing. I mean, the third person would have won if she bet right.
Oh.
It happens all the time. It's crazy.
Strategy.
Crazy.
Same as this game. Betting strategy. Linda Rice, Jose Lezcano with Equus.
I think this horse is very dangerous. And at 8-1, I may have to bet a few bucks. I know she looks a little on the slow side. I like the cut back in distance and thought she's a possible upsetter.
And she has become the favorite now. Will Be Famous.
Should be the favorite. She's the horse to beat. She runs her good race. She's going to be tough.
Now it's Christopher Elliott, as we mentioned, on board. Here's Willow Bend in the rematch with Prat.
I picked her. I like the connections, and I think she's finding herself in a good spot getting Prat.
The likely speed of the race here, always Angels.
Got to think Irad's going to be aggressive. We'll see if she gets in the way of Will Be Famous.
This one with some pace, too. Kitten's Appeal.
Yeah, I think she's another wise guy horse in here. She's a little on the slow side, but she's kind of interesting. She's been in pretty good form.
And here's Miss Lau outside off the claim, Brad Cox.
I said my piece on her. She could win, but she'll win without me.
5 minutes away from the 6th on the card. She hustled downstairs. Back with us. Let's go to Acacia.
And we'll start off with your current favorite with Will Be Famous. First time out for Rob Atras. This is a horse that throughout her career was often a bit of a bad actor. This is by far the most composed and laid back I've ever seen her. So hats off to the connections, and it's probably a maturity thing as well, as she is now a 5-year-old, but coming in here off of some solid races. She's been pretty consistent throughout in her last few efforts. Was part of the early pace, ran on late last time out, where Caress just ran that very fast effort that day. I certainly respect Will Be Famous, and I do think that she is the horse to beat. Now, physically, I prefer a couple of others in here, but I don't have a problem with her. And like I said, I am happy to see that she's keeping everything under wraps. As far as the 8 Miss Lau does go, I do agree with Andy. I think it's tough to claim off of the past connections who did exceptionally well with her. You think back to Mozienko, kind of a similar type of horse that Dennis Lallman did really well with. And with Miss Lau. She comes in here. She has put on a bit of weight and conditioning. I certainly will give her that. She's never the smoothest mover. It's just how Miss Lau is. She's never going to be one that immediately grabs your attention as far as a beautiful warm-up type of appearance does go. But that being said, that's, like I said, how she's been throughout her entire career. And I agree. Dustin has done a tremendous job with these horses here in New York and placing them in the right spot. And I think that's the key, that Miss Lau does come back at a comparable level with which she was claimed. So we'll see if she can run a similar type of effort. She has been off form overall a bit lately, though was able to put it together with a drop in class last time out. The number 5, Willow Bend, does get a drop as well. She's one that really perked up once they put the tack on with her, which I was happy to see. There's not much of her. She's a little bit more of a narrower type of build, which typically from the Cantromasi barn and from Linda's barn as well, who had her previously, you tend to see horses with a bit more substance on them. It's just not the case with Willow Bend. But I was happy once they saddled her. Like I said, she perked up a lot. She warmed up really well out on the track too. Just a horse that's looking like she's doing very well right now, which sometimes at these kinds of levels is the most important thing. And I will say that about the 7, Kitten's Appeal, which for all the respect I have about the horses I just touched on, this price horse is the one that I just couldn't get over how good she looked. Now, she does come back off a bit of a layoff, but her last win 2 starts back was off of a similar type of length of layoff. And while she is a solidly kind of robust built horse, she's very strong coming out. But she looks like she is flourishing from Bruce Levine. She's dappled head to toe, tremendous muscle conditioning on her, moving incredibly well out there. And she's a big price for a horse that I think is coming back at a level at which she belongs, and one that I think does well with a little bit of time away from the races. We'll see if that holds true today, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. See what happens here coming up as we're 2 minutes to post.
Betting in this race is odd. Right now, they're betting the 3 like she's a little bit cold on the board for my money, but there's still a few minutes till post. We'll see what she prints up. I just thought she'd be a bigger favorite.
Yeah. Back to a race that happened last weekend, and the champ coming back, 2-year-old filly for Brad Cox, Immersive. And it did not go her way in the return of the Monomoy girl. Ken McPeak, Brian Hernandez Jr., Take Charge Milady the win.
Well, I think Take Charge Milady is one of the better 3-year-old fillies in the country, frankly, and was unlucky to lose the Ashland to Licara, who might head the division at this point. Caught the wet track of the Oaks, and Immersive came back in a very tough spot. She ran well. I mean, the race didn't get a huge figure in here. I've never been Immersive's biggest fan. I thought she got a very good trips. Not sure how strong some of those fields were, but the truth is, this division is wide open right now, especially with Good Cheer not getting better and throwing in the clunker that she did in the Acorn. I think it's wide open, so perhaps Immersive will run much better. It'll be interesting to see. And I think for once we may have a very open 3-year-old filly division, you know, going to Saratoga with the CCA Oaks and the Alabama. It's not like you've got a Torpedo Anna towering over the field. It seems very often this is a division where you have a very good horse and a lot of horses just aren't quite as good. Not the case this year, and Good Cheer is going to have to redeem herself.
And both these two pointing to, those big targets at Saratoga, Take Charge Milady and Immersive. So we're going to see them upstate, hopefully.
Well, we know one thing about Ken McPeak. He doesn't skip any dances, Kenny. You can count on Kenny showing on. I mean this in a positive way. I'm not, you know, I kid a lot.
It's good for the game.
No, Kenny runs his horses, and she's a good. She should have won the Ashland. She was unlucky. She was hurt by a pace that just didn't really develop, and though Brian gave her a good ride, but she just, was a little unlucky. And she's had some trips in her races, and she's the kind of horse that could turn out to be one of the best horses in the division if she gets a little bit of luck in her side.
And obviously, with Torpedo Anna tackling the boys, and that was, I think it made up for it because it was so sensational, that race and the lead up to it and how it, that stretch duel with fierceness. But, it hurt the Alabama a little bit. It's going to be a great Alabama field this year.
It made the Alabama a more open race, and it was a fun betting race, and Power Squeeze paid more than she should have paid. But I think, right, she towered over those horses last year. They were not even in her league. And it'll be interesting to see. She's going to run next weekend in the Fleur de Lis, I believe, at Churchill. And I hope she can get her act back together because she really does have to sort of show that she can be the kind of horse she was last year. Because even though she won the Apple Blossom, she's clearly has some questions to answer at this point. And she's too good a horse, though, to just be dismissive of. And you want the stars of the game to flourish.
Talking about Torpedo Anna, of course. Normalcy has come back to life here.
Yes.
Will Be Famous, the 3, is now the 8-5 favorite. Deserving favorite. Rob Atras first off the claim. It's moved to several barns, and she has maybe not been as good, some of the other trainers, as she was with Brad Cox. She's been pretty darn good.
Yeah, I'm going to try to beat her. I picked the 5. I thought the 2 and 7 were long shot for her, big prices if you're looking to throw in somebody at a better price to try to get in the number. We'll see what happens. I'm not way against the 3. I just kind of want to see her do it again for the new barn.
Chris Griffin, the call. Here's the 6, Belmont at the Big A.
Kitten's Appeal. Miss Lau. Miss Lau. Manny Franco to the outside. All set. And they're off. Miss Lau breaks very well from that 4 outside draw, but they are lined up, and here in between horses, Kitten's Appeal is in that early mix. Also right there is Always Angels. 5 across the racetrack early, as holding that rail position is Like a Rolling Stone, is hard sent by Jose Gomez, wants to be up on the early pace. In between horses now settling is Jose Lescano on Equus. So the front 4 tightly bunched as they work into the far turn. Getting the worst of it there was Equus. Just got steadied, checked, is all the way back towards the back end of the field. They're chasing Always Angels, who's up by a neck. Here comes Kitten's Appeal towards the outside. Miss Lau has had a nice journey, has been out of the trouble, is out in the center of the racetrack, is followed intently here by Willow Bend, and Willow Bend means business. 4 of them across the racetrack here as they reach the top of the stretch. At the rail, it's Always Angels trying to fight off Kitten's Appeal, who just keeps on running towards the outside. Willow Bend was making a menacing move, but is now taking some time to get to these leaders. It's Kitten's Appeal in between horses. Willow Bend is trying to get there. Willow Bend to the outside. Kitten's Appeal. Willow Bend is pushed on by. Willow Bend will get the victory. Kitten's Appeal second, Always Angels, and Miss Lau in 1 minute 9.50 seconds.
Willow Bend, Flavian Pratt, Ilkay Cantermachi barn, beating Will Be Famous, who used to be in his barn, was claimed away from him. That one did not get out good early.
I find one of the better handicapping methods is to pick horses that have the same name as Maggie's children. So that's really why I liked Willow Bend, and did. You know, Chris was right when he said she was taking her a while to get there, because at this point it looked like Willow Bend, was like 2 to 5, right? She had a ton of horse coming to him, but Kitten's Appeal ran extremely well in here to be second. She challenged a pace that kind of fell apart at the end. And I guess that guy on Twitter now has realized that you're right, that the track is playing quickly. If these horses are going 109.5, and for whatever reason, my suspicions with Will Be Famous, I mean, she broke last.
Yeah.
She was last on the backstretch. She did not run a step in this race. Miss Lau at least ran a little bit, but Willow Bend able to get it done over a very game Kitten's Appeal.
6 career wins now for this 5-year-old mare. 5, 7, 6, 8. And Pratt for Cantermachi. 5-year-old mare by Flatter with the victory as the second choice on the board.
This Exacta is crazy low.
Crazy low?
What do you think this Exacta should be paying?
Oof.
It's $32. It's at $16 for $1. That's a little on the low side, no?
Yeah, with the biggest, second biggest price on the board underneath, but
11 to 1 was the bet. The bet was to bet the 11, the 7 to win at 11 to 1.
5, 7, 6, 8. Near in the 6th. Pratt on the board for the first time today for Cantermachi. That man right there. We've talked about his 2-year-old champion filly on the comeback trail. He's got a first-time starter. We're going to see next at Horseshoe Indy for Brad Cox. It is a son of Into Mischief when we return.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 55 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel. averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sire of yearlings in 2024. Curlin, the classic sire.
Back with you on our Thursday coverage. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by NYRA Bets, where you can play all the action. That's the offer. New members, use that code BONUS200. Get the $200 deposit match. Sign up bonus into your account right there at NYRABets.com. As Willow Bend, reigning Eclipse Award-winning rider Flavien Prat for Ilkay Kantarmachi. 6th career win for this 5-year-old mare. And pretty soon, he's going to be back up where he made history last summer.
I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, we compliment him all the time, and I'm not even sure we're nice enough. Horses run for him. I was saying to you off camera, I'd like to find a stat, what his numbers are switching to him, sort of for the first time, you know, not a horse he's been riding and then somebody else rode one race and he came back, but horses run for him. And listen, there's a lot of extremely good riders here, but he's as good as anybody. I tell you, he's as good as any rider I think I've ever seen.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I was talking to you about his win percentage. Riding in all the biggest races on the toughest circuit. 26% at this point. He's already had close to 500 mounts to win at that percentage. Amazing.
I defy somebody to legitimately tell me what the flaw in his game is.
Mig says all the time that's his greatest asset. He doesn't have a flaw.
No, it's impressive. And he loves harness racing. I saw him in Saratoga on Friday, and I said the Friday of the meet and I said, so have you been to Saratoga Harness yet? And he said, I was there Tuesday night. So, gotta love it.
We found a flaw. He did get beaten that harness head-to-head matchup, didn't he?
So he's not the best harness driver in the country, or doctor, depending on how you look at it.
He's very good, though.
But apparently not the best harness driver. So he may be the best jockey in the country, but there are better harness drivers. He needs to work on his game. So maybe Brad can get him on some harness horses and really, riding doubleheaders in Saratoga, there's no reason he can't do that.
Back to Horseshoe Indy. Brad Cox, we told you going to break with a first-time starter, son of Into Mischief. That's the 3 Mischief Mania, who's odds on. Let's go to Rachel.
Yeah, you guys, I am going to go with Mischief Mania here on top. And talking to Ricky Giannini after winning that race, the last race, he's hoping for a training double here. He said that the owners really like this horse. They've got high hopes for him. And Ricky also said that he's a pretty classy guy. He's been working honestly in the morning, hasn't had any trouble out of him. He's a nice 2-year-old, he said. With that being said, as I was talking to Ricky about that, I did notice and want to say that Wedge, the 8, was screaming in the paddock and is pretty excited. I think you guys might have saw in the post parade, he did kind of take off, kind of go out of his zone. He didn't even wait, for them to get around, which is what you know from 2-year-olds. I mean, I have broke my own horse that I ride. I have a 5-year-old now, and when they're 2, it's just that I call them babies. A lot of us do, and they're such young horses that it takes you a few times of doing something, especially for these 2-year-old baby races, for them to catch on. That being said, I do want to mention, even though I don't have the 2 in my selections, I was watching him in the post parade and in the paddock, and out of all of them, what a confident colt he looked like. He was just visually impressive. He didn't come out with the pony, but he didn't run off. He stayed in the line, and there was just something about his movement. He just seemed very, very confident, did not look like a 2-year-old young horse. And given the fact that he has ran before, maybe you can attribute it a little bit to that, but I think a lot of it is just his attitude. His demeanor just seemed the entire time he was out there like this is old hat. And I must say, as a crazy horse girl that's been obsessed with them since I was a kid, it's not very usual for a young horse like that to have that kind of confidence and that kind of swagger, I guess. So, my selection, though, Mischief Mania, you just cannot go against the Brad Cox barn in these maiden special weights, in these 2-year-old races here in Indiana. He's had a lot that he's brought here that have gone on to do really good things in their racing career. So 3 for me, but I'm definitely keeping Illinois Red in there as well in the mix. The Dam, 4 of 5 have won as 2-year-olds, and the Bullet Work going into this one looked really good, guys. So I'm going to continue to get a tan here in the sun for you guys. Mischief Mania on top for me.
Rachel, thank you. Yeah, public agrees. Brad Cox firster with a pedigree that this one sold for $300,000, Keeneland, September 24.
Yeah, I too am going to go for the $300,000 into Mischief for trainer Brad Coxon here. You really can't fool me either. Now, the Dam wasn't much. He ran a 57 buyer. It's the second foal. The first one ran a 62 buyer, and that horse was a Justify, so they've been breeding her to very, very strong stallions. The second Dam actually was pretty good. I think she ran an 82 buyer. But, I mean, I don't want to ignore Wedge completely. We see William Walden win a lot of races. His horses usually have speed. I know that the 8 Wedge is an OXO homebred. But, I don't want to be completely dismissive of this horse. She's taking some money into the face of Brad's horse. On the other hand, who else are they going to bet? I mean, Illini Red, probably owned by somebody that went to the University of Illinois. I've smoked that out of my own. An unraced Dam produced 5 to 6 horses that I don't think they could outrun you and I in a horse suit, Greg. The 2 ran once, and obviously the experience for Sierra Power could be beneficial, but he didn't do any running in his first start. And I don't really have much to say about the horse in the rail. It's more of a turf family going back, and you got it in Motown. It was more of a turf influence. So we'll see. It's 3 or 8. I mean, the public's probably got this one right.
See what happens here as they load up 5 furlongs in this maiden special weight for these 2-year-olds.
I love the baby races. I mean, it's so much fun. Think about opening day in Saratoga when we saw Echo Zulu. When you see a star like her. Think about Ways and Means when we saw her Breaker Maiden. It's such a big part of what we do and watching the good 2-year-olds come out. It's always exciting.
You can have very good ones come out of here at Horseshoe Indy, just like you can have anywhere
Monroe
else.
Girl broke her maiden. She ran twice on the turf. It's a good thing Michael Doheny got a little involved and helped get her the dirt. But that's a story for another time.
John Dooley with the call. Here's the 4th from Horseshoe Indy.
A couple of wins on the card. First-time starter, Mischief Mania, went in great. Mitchell Morrow with Illini Red, making his bow Illini Red. Mischief Mania, 3-5 favorite. Stand by, one more. Joe Ramos Wedge, one of the 4 first-time starters. Main track now fast here at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. They're in the gate. They're off, racing 5 furlongs, and the starter called Mischief Mania Napping was last on the gate. Fast start for Illini Red with right there Sierra Power, who's showing early speed at Sierra Power. For Augustin Gomez, Sierra Power just leads. Illini Red pressing past the half-mile pole, and Alejandro's Town right there close up third as they round the far turn. Wedge is running second to last, and Mischief Mania is running in fifth. They round the far turn, Sierra Power and Illini Red. They're head-to-head, taking this battle toward the quarter pole. 22.74 lean seconds. Alejandro's Town, Mischief Mania picking up now. Mischief Mania is on the move on the far outside around Alejandro's Town, and Wedge is last. These maiden 2-year-olds straight and away, and it is Sierra Power gamely. Sierra Power leads with 1 furlong to go. Sierra Power has turned back Illini Red. Mischief Mania trying to sustain a bid. Wedge is right there with the rail in the red helmet, and here's Wedge. Wedge is powering up the rail for Joe Ramos. Sierra Power and Wedge comes through, and Wedge wins. Wedge with a first out success from Sierra Power. Mischief Mania finished third.
You need to take this because you described it perfectly.
Well, Wedge pulled a wedgie. Come to the. What price would you have taken on Wedge around the turn? I mean, he didn't look like he was running a step. I'm not even sure you'd bet him here. But the number 3 who didn't get out of the gate, Mischief Mania, if he's going to be a good one, he's going to have to improve an enormous amount. But Wedge put it together late, the OXO homebred, to beat a tough luck loser. If you bet Sierra Power, you got a right to be a little sick here, the only one with experience. But
23-1, by the way, on the runner-up.
A disappointing effort by the 3, Mischief Mania, but
didn't get out of the gate good.
Wedge doing a wedgie, coming through.
First time out, son of Rowayton for William Walden in OXO, as the second choice at 9-5 with a victory. Shug McGahee. Talented 3-year-old on the turf, getting set for his 4-year-old return in our feature race coming up with Cagino. Stay tuned.
They're off in the Churchill Downs Stakes. And Gun Pilot 1-2.66 was that first quarter. Gun Pilot and Christian Torres are going to win the Churchill Downs. Gun Pilot by 2.5 under the wire.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
The Factor, a perennial leading sire of winners. He was 3rd in the nation by winners in 2021 and 2022. His progeny include Grade 1 winners Sistron and Noted and Quoted, Grade 2 winner Charmaine's Mia, and Millionaires Bound for Nowhere. And factor this, with dozens of 6-figure yearling sales, he's a proven sire on the track and in the sales ring. The Factor, standing at Lane's End.
Get into the game with Bond Racing Stable. When you partner with Bond Racing Stable, the Bond team does all the work and you enjoy the experience. As a partner, you can watch morning workouts, come to the paddock for saddling, and cheer your horse down the stretch. Bond Racing Stable offers more than 30 New York-bred weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds in a partnership program that gets you to the winner's circle. Whether on your own or with friends and family, make Bond Racing Stable your racing partners. Go to JamesBondRacing.com today.
Back at our Thursday coverage on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races as we close in on our feature race, and it is a good one coming up on the grass at a mile and 16th on the turf and allowance optional Clemming Field that feels like a stakes race. Cagino, Shug McGahee, 4-year-old debut coming up for a horse that ended his 3-year-old campaign with a stakes victory at Gulfstream.
I maintain that overall he was the best 3-year-old in the turf last year. He was just unbelievably unlucky in many, many races, and a lot kind of his own fault because of his running style, though the 12 post in the Transylvania was not his fault. It's amazing, the stat, huh?
Look how loaded this group is with all these stakes winners coming up. As I said, it feels like it should be a stakes race. Some very talented runners in here.
And it would have been 7 horses if Forever Super hadn't scratched.
Yeah.
So a good call by our producer, Bobby Cladd, who picked up on that. It is. This is a stakes. It may not be a stakes race, but it is a stakes race, stakes quality race, that's for sure.
And for Big Everest, a horse that loves to win on the grass. 9 wins overall. Comeback race.
Needed the race. Got pushed hard by...
Not too concerned about it?
Well, I mean, as you know, I've not always been his biggest fan, but I thought he could control this race, and I'm going to take a shot with him to win the wire the field.
Cugino, 4-year-old debut for Shug McGaughey. There he is. He's opened up as a 3-2 favorite for his return. Let's go downstairs to Acacia.
And we'll start there, Greg, because I'm keeping my eye on Cugino because he is a horse that historically has not been the best to get the tack on. They pre-made the tack, as in getting the saddle and the saddle cloth up together, saddled him right outside the saddling stall, and he was standing very nicely and very professionally. Then they took him out to put the blinkers on, and that's when he started acting up, trying to rear up a couple of times. But that's not uncommon for Cugino. In the past, they've had to saddle him on the walk, very tricky to get the tack on. So overall, some improvement, but still some antics with getting the tack on. But now, both saddle and blinkers are on, and he has settled. He looks tremendous off the layoff overall, very strong and powerful. Great in his coat. He is a horse that carries some conditioning, so maybe will benefit from a start coming back to bring it all together. But in general, I'm very impressed with what I see from him in the muscle mass that he is carrying. He's not the biggest type, but he continues to develop really nicely, which I do think you have to appreciate. So a horse that I think has a world of talent, and we'll see if he's ready with his best effort off of the bench in here. The number 7, Data Man, is an intriguing one for Graham Motion, as he tried the synthetic up at Woodbine in the Eclipse last time out, and he just never looked comfortable to me in the running of that race. He got very keen. Yes, he got shuffled back, but I think that he was just being really hard to handle, and sometimes horses will do that when they're just not handling the surface, and so I'm willing to give him a pass for that. I thought he ran very well 2 starts back at Laurel, went off of a layoff and was game to get the victory, and obviously he showed connections enough to put him right into graded stakes company, but I think he's back on his preferred surface in here. He's another one that in the past was very tricky to get the tack on, and while he's been sharp from the get-go coming into the paddock here, much more professional overall with getting his saddle on, and he's also grown. He is a very big boy. He's all legs, but he's very strong, very, very fit coming in here, and I think he's intriguing getting back on his preferred surface, Greg.
Keisha, thank you. Oh, there's some inflated numbers, some strange betting going on the board here.
I recognize that West Point horses often take a lot of money, and we appreciate their support of their horses. And I don't think you're going to find a much bigger fan of Cugino than I am. But 6-5 on him in this spot is absolutely ridiculous because you're still betting him on the come. There are plenty of horses near that consistently have run better race than him. He's a newly turned 4-year-old that was a very good 3-year-old that has a lot of upside and can and very well may improve from a good barn. 6-5 on him is absolutely insane.
He very may well take a move forward.
He might win.
He definitely needs to prove that he can do that to beat this group. As you look at his trainer,
he might win the 4-star Dave, this horse. He's very good, but 6-5 in this spot off the layoff is too short a price.
Post parade coming up, riders up, and we'll kick things off in a moment here with Big Everest, the 9-time winner of over $650,000 on the lawn for Miguel Calant now.
Well, the kind of horse that I bet against all the time, 9 for 21.
Who does it on the front end, by the way, and there's a couple of other speeds in here, but he has to go. Joel Rosario aboard. Here's Cugino for Shug McGaughey.
I'm a Cugino fan, but his lack of speed is going to often be problematic for him, and while I respect him a lot in here, I think he's way too short a price.
Very short price on Noted.
How is Noted 8-1? I realize the barn has been extremely hot, but this horse doesn't have a single turf race that makes him even remotely competitive in here.
This is shocking to see this big a price on Strong Quality.
He's 9-1, and Strong Quality is 12-1. Strong Quality is like 4 times as likely to win the race than he is.
Shocking. Exact estimate, Chad Brown just missed trying to go gate to wire last start.
You can get 8-1 on Chad Brown if you want him. What I find weird about this horse is how many times Chad ran him on synthetic down in Florida, but maybe he just didn't want to run that turf course.
Data Man will be coming from off the pace for Graham Motion.
Taking a lot of money in this one for Graham, and he's got some good races, but he's another one that I think is taking too much money.
It's a major back class, but the form has certainly dropped off for Masterpiece.
Yeah, I mean, there's a real question of whether or not he's competitive anymore. He's a 9-year-old now, but in his day, he'd be the favorite in this race and win.
Yeah, just shy 950,000 earned on the turf in his career, that 9-year-old.
Trying to get up there to the 2 million.
Go back to the 4. This horse has several of the fastest races of anyone in this field, and he's 12-1 right now.
A 6-year-old New Gelding, and a New Gelding that ran just 2 months ago. Obviously, saying went wrong. He was in a sloppy track race last time, and it was a wicked fast pace. He actually dual deterministic, which kind of tipped the hand about him. Losing to Silent Heart, who's very talented, is a feather in his cap, to be honest. He ran well. He should be in a good stalking spot, and there's plenty of things to like on a horse that's 13-1.
Crazy.
It's kind of like he's the longest shot on the board.
He was competitive in the 4-star Dave last summer.
What was his morning line?
6. And keep in mind, UF Forever Super came out. It was a major contender.
Correct. It was 4-1. So really, he's a 5-1 morning line.
You're right. Lost on the board.
And
in this race.
if anything, I would argue that more. If somebody said to me, "You think the morning line is going to be off?" I would say he's going to be lower.
Yeah,
I'm confused.
I thought he was the horse to beat. We'll see what happens.
You like him a little
here.
more than I do, but I definitely think he's a major contender.
Back down to Acacia.
And we'll pick up with the horse you guys were discussing with Strong Quality. And yes, he is a New Gelding. At this stage, it's not going to change much. My guess is that he's a horse that is still sound, still able to keep racing. He's not going to be marketable as a stallion, so why not geld him? They're often easier to manage, and then easier whenever the time does come to find him a home off the track as well. But he's moving great out there. He certainly is a horse that I always like physically. He's always a very energetic, very forward type of horse as well. And I agree, he's actually run pretty well on the dirt in the past. The turf is definitely his preferred surface, and I think he's getting back to it. He has plenty of back class, and he's a monster price right now. He always gets a little bit hot, so that's very normal for Strong Quality. As far as the one Big Everest, I was not in the paddock for his last race, but I remember Maggie saying that he really looked like he needed the race for fitness, and he went right out to the front and was pressured by Donegal Momentum, who of course would come back and win the poker with a 96 Beyer speed figure and a horse that also has speed. So was really dueling with a good one. And Big Everest, I guess this is the day. But if Andy is a fan of Big Everest, but yes, he's been well spotted throughout his career to pick up some of those stakes wins and to use his speed to his advantage. He's a horse that early on in his career would really pull and be very difficult. As a result, Joel Rosario, one that really helps him to settle so much. He always is a horse that carries condition, but I imagine he really got a lot out of that last race and looks very strong coming in here. The number 8, Masterpiece, ton of back class, multiple graded stakes winner. Arguably prefers a bit longer than this. One thing I had noted about him last time, I hadn't thought that he looked that fit coming into the Fort Marcy. He's an older horse, he's a 9-year-old. Sometimes it's tougher to get those types a little bit more fit. But I also had noted that he was a lot more awake than he typically had been, and I kind of took it as a little bit of a negative, that he was really sharp going into the race, was he's typically a horse that's so laid back. And while Jose Lezcano is warming him up solo out there now, he's back to more of the mentality of the Masterpiece that I know. He also does look more defined coming back here second off the bench. I think it's just a big question as a 9-year-old if he still has it in him, but he certainly has the credentials back through his career to suggest that he should be a player in here. Greg?
All right, Acacia, thank you. Minute to post coming up. Cagino, 4-year-old debut of the 2 for Shug McGahee with a Rat Ortiz Jr. was even money a moment ago, but taking a ton of support, 6-5.
Based on the way the race is being bet, and I think you and I, Greg, felt this was a highly competitive race, It's a 2-7 or a 7-2 exacta. That's all it can be. Lock it up. I mean, this is wild. They're the only two horses getting bet, and nobody else is taking a nickel. I mean, 9-1 on the 4, even coming down. I never imagined the 1 would be 6-1 in here. How about 8-1 an exact estimate? I mean, I'm not his biggest fan, but 8-1?
It's wild.
Crazy prices in here. At least the 3 finally started going up in odds.
Is Cugino this good as he gets set for his 4-year-old return? We'll find out. Maybe a very exciting horse going forward in this turf division.
Shug McGaughey with good numbers off of 4 to 8 month layoffs and turf routes, where he's 28% overall with a 262 ROI with 65 starters, and he gets him back running. And I'm a big Cugino fan. I was going to pick him here. I'm glad I didn't, because I don't need to pick a horse like this at 6-5. I'm more than happy to take my lumps with big efforts at 6-1. And I can finally silence people that think I never want to pick him. I think I picked him once before.
Back down to even money.
It's the odd thing is that nobody's really budged, right? Nobody's come down at all, really. They're betting like a tourist race.
Pace-wise, obviously, look, the rail, Big Everest wants to go. Strong Quality does not have to go, but he's quick.
He's probably sitting
Exact
second.
Estimate wants to be forward.
Probably
Who's
sitting
in front?
third. I think Big Everest is. Joel has never been interested in giving up the lead on this horse. Never. You've got the rail. The rails are down. Joel's got one way to go. If he gets beaten with his running style, so be it. But you've got to go with him. If they want to run with him, they want to run him on the ground, so be it. But he's got to go. Barring a bad break, he's got to go.
There he is, stepping in on Big Everest for Miguel Clement, 7 years old. His second start back as a 7-year-old now for Reeves Thoroughbred Racing. Even money favorite, though. 4-year-old debut of Cugino for Shug McGaughey. West Point Thoroughbreds, Arad Ortiz Jr. in the irons. It's a big test for him. He's been very talented as a 3-year-old. Will he take a step forward now in his first start of his 4-year-old campaign? Featured race on the card this Thursday afternoon, the 7th, from Belmont to the Big A. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Masterpiece. Jose Lezcano. Last to load. Masterpiece goes in. All set. And they're off. Big Everest flashes early speed down towards the inside as they quickly come out of the chute, and Cugino's in the early mix too. 3 wide is going to be Noted. Right there comes Strong Quality. Just behind them is going to be Exact Estimates in the 3 path here. It's pretty tightly bunched, but Big Everest is in front. The 2 trailers, Dataman with Masterpiece, will be the trailer. They work towards that turn. It's Big Everest doing it nicely enough. Takes him into that turn, and there's Big Everest up by a half length over Strong Quality. At the rail, Cugino, patiently ridden here. A ground-saving journey is to the inside here of Exact Estimate, who's in the 4th position. 23.60 for the opening quarter mile. Big Everest and Joel Rosario's trying to slow things down up front. Is still a half length and a comfortable half length in front of Strong Quality, stalking in second. Cugino is at the rail, 47.71, the half-mile time. Exact Estimates in the 2 path is right there in 4th. Behind them comes Noted and Junior Alvarado. To the outside here comes the run from Dataman. And Masterpiece is still the trailer. They work into the far turn. Big Everest with a neck in front. Strong Quality's not going away. Strong Quality now trying to move in closer on the leader. At the rail, Cugino. Irad Ortiz Jr. just patiently waiting in behind rivals. Big Everest turns up her home, is at the top of the lane. Joel Rosario has not asked Big Everest yet. Here comes a rally from Exact Estimate. Can Cugino get out of there? Now finds a seam. Dataman starts to rally on the gray on the grandstand side. Big Everest is very game, but now Cugino finds a seam and splits rivals. Here comes Cugino to the outside of Big Everest. Trying to run on it is Exact Estimate. Cugino gets the victory. Cugino wins it over. A photo with Exact Estimate to the outside of Big Everest and Dataman in 1:40.4.
Cugino, 4-year-old debut. Impressive here for Shug McGaughey with Irad Ortiz Jr.
Oddly, the slower pace really worked in his favor because it allowed Irad to get him into a very comfortable trip on the pocket, and he was able to save ground all the way along with Big Everest, and with the rails down is probably the right way to go. And he was able to get through and get it done. It's a very nice horse. He's still going to have to get better than this if he's going to challenge. I'll put it this way. He hasn't improved as much as Deterministic. He hasn't had a chance to show it, and I think he ran well here, but I mean, he got a very good trip and got it done. Big Everest, just probably not quite as good as he once was, but he still ran a good race. And actually, the horse that ran really well was Exact Estimate. It was never inside in this race. The only horse that was there at the end that didn't save ground, though the 7, who was supposed to finish second, obviously, based on the betting, did run well, finishing 4th in here, given the situation. But it's nice to see Cugino get it done. A great ride by Irad.
And it looks, I think it's Pratt may have stole second with Exact Estimate. It was close.
He did. No, I think he got second.
But yeah, it looked like the 6.
Yeah, I think he was second in this race. And he deserved to be. My horse had every chance to get it done. Joel rode him perfectly, just wasn't quite good enough. Still had a bad bet at 5-1.
Cugino in his 4-year-old debut. Winning performance with Irad Ortiz Jr. for Shug McGaughey. And look, starting point of your 4-year-old season. We're going to see probably better versions of him down the line.
You know, it'll be interesting to see how much they want to stretch him out, because I would think that he's a horse that should be pointing towards the 4-star Dave. With Carl Spackler gone, with More Than Looks retired, who are you afraid of in that division? And there's no reason. I mean, this is a horse that's been very competitive, going a mile and a 16th before. It's a mile and a 16th. So I would think the 4-star Dave should be the goal for him. It's a huge race, and I would think it'll be the goal for him. And I would think he could be a major player in there.
See what they'll point to with this horse. So yeah, it does have options. Goes off at 6-5.
I mean, the other big race you go to is the Arlington Million at Colonial, but they've got Kirk's got interpretation for that race.
Let's go to Acacia.
And here with winning trainer Shug McGaughey. Shug, pretty nice comeback from Cugino with that last punch.
I thought so. Okay, he had trained well, and we were looking to run him, and then we didn't get to run him. Just because of the weather and stuff, and so I maybe lost a little bit of time. But I thought it was a big race for him, and I think he'll move forward off this.
He's clearly a horse with a lot of talent as well. Do you look at a race potentially like the 4-star Dave in Saratoga?
I don't know. I was thinking more about the Bernard Baruch later on in the meet or something. But the last couple of times he's run, he's acted like he maybe wanted to run a little farther too. So, we'll just have to see. But I'm pleased today.
Seems like it could be a big year for him. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Greg?
Cugino, 2 today for Irad Ortiz Jr. And Shug McGaughey, I think is one ready to roll in his 4-year-old return. Again, 2-6, 1-7. It was Exact Estimate getting second there. Prices when we come back.
Watch and wager this summer at Laurel Park. Enjoy the best thoroughbred racing in the state of Maryland through June 29. And don't forget, turf racing is back with full fields and outstanding wagering opportunities. Play the early and late value Pick 5 and enjoy one of the lowest takeouts in the country. Laurel Park is the place to play and win. Racing Friday through Sunday, first race 12:10 p.m. and free admission every day. For more information, visit laurelpark.com. Laurel Park, the players' track.
Back with you on our Thursday coverage. And it's Cugino, 4-year-old return to the race is a winning one. Winner's Circle lead in. Brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton July Selected Horses of Racing Age. Sale to be held on July 8th, Lexington, Kentucky. Start considering your entries today. So, interesting what we heard from Shug McGaughey in that interview with Acacia Clement.
Okay. Bernard Baruch has run closing weekend in Saratoga, and it's ungraded now, right? Unless we moved it somewhere else during the year. Clearly, I think he's better than Shug does. But he's Shug McGaughey, so maybe he knows better than me. But who are you afraid of at a mile right now? Who are the
deterministic pointing?
He might be pointing
spot
there. Cugino was second to him in the Hill Prince.
Donegal Momentum pointing to that
These
spot.
are nice horses, but
why can't he compete with them?
He can. I feel like I don't know. I don't know what.
Race 5, Horseshoe Indy, mile and a 16th starter, optional claiming race. Let's go to Rachel.
What a contrast from the last race there, you guys. Some 2-year-old babies, and now we've got these veterans who have been here, obviously, as Indiana breds, but some older horses that just really know this track well. Could not say enough about how good some of them look in the paddock, and I got some really good information from one of my favorite ex-grooms, Jordan. We call him around the track the Kid. He is now assistant to Tim Eggleston, which I just found out, so congratulations on the nice job increase there. Hopefully the pay did too. But he really knows his horses well. I always love talking to him about them. He calls the 6th Highest Memory his old war horse. He said, you know, last time he got stuck behind horses. He likes to go to the outside. So he likes that he's drawn out here. He knows Marcelino is going to ride him aggressively, and he's in a good spot for him. He feels like both of his horses, Tim Eggleston, trainees, Highest Memories, and Mansfield Tiger, have a good shot today. Mansfield Tiger specifically, Mitchell Merle riding for him, and they have just had wonderful stats together, very high percentage when Mitchell has been aboard, and this horse has early speed, which is definitely the case. And the inside's been hot all year. Post positions 3, 2, and 1, and today, as we've seen it, the inside is just red hot here as well. So he's just a cool horse, Jordan said, and he thinks he's going to run big today. Now, my little bit of a long shot, you guys, is the 7, Tracy Wisner trainee. I walked up to her, I said, what do you think? She said he could be hot today, Rach. He did not get a trip that he likes. He's one of those horses that if it does not go the way that he likes, he does not fire in those races, which you can kind of see on paper. So she said, hey, he's on the outside. I hope he breaks better than last time. She said he just came completely up out of the gate in that last race. As you can see in the notes, it says he reared up. But, you know, knowing horses as I do, they're temperamental creatures. Some of them give their efforts, which are the couple that I just mentioned, Highest Memory, Mansfield Tiger, always try really hard. And some horses are a little temperamental, and if they don't get the trip that they like, they really don't show up and they kind of check out. So I think if Corona Grande does get the trip that he wants, and he breaks better, then he's going to be one that might sweeten up our exactas here, pay us a little bit of money. Right now, 20-1. I'll take that cash, guys, as they're heading to the track. But I've got the Tim Eggleston trainees, Mansfield Tiger, and Highest Memories. I just love when the help that work for these trainers have good things to say about them, because they're the ones that really spend so much time with them in their stalls, taking care of them. And Jordan's one of the great guys on our backside that does a tremendous job and really loves horses and loves what he does.
Rachel, thank you. It's a pretty good duo Tim Eggleston has here with Mansfield Tiger and Highest Memories. I thought the 6 was the horse to beat, but the public backing the 3.
The 6 is the horse to beat. I prefer, of the 3 taking money, I would bet the 2, Me and Chili, and I'm hoping gets an aggressive ride, gets a giant rider change in here. So I would take a shot with that one, but I'll be very surprised if the 2, 3, or 6 don't win this race.
John Jolie, the call. Here is the 5th Horseshoe Indy.
Grande, Joe Ramos bidding for a double. Mansfield Tiger, 3-2 favorite. Mitchell Morrow for Tim Eggleston. Mansfield Tiger drew 3 here, only run fast track. 3-2 Mansfield Tiger, 9-5 Highest Memories. 3-1 Me and Chili. Mansfield Tiger's gone all in, just a couple of them back. Samuel Bermudez For Mama's a 4-time winner. Fast Track. For Mama given a 38-1 chance. 8-5 Highest Memories has just gone favored, and one more. We're hitting Miranda with Load 'em Up Justice. Fast Track. Here comes the 5th. They're in the gate. And they're off. Load 'em Up Justice bobbled. Sharp start for Mama. For Mama going toward the lead. Me and Chili in the green silks. Mansfield Tigers taken back, and Highest Memories with an early run as they make their way into the first turn. It is nearest the inside, Me and Chili, and on the outside, For Mama, after a sharp start, is right there close up, and Mansfield Tiger drafting in behind, running in third as these Hoosiers go to the back of the track. Highest Memories is next in fourth by 2. Base Coat running in fifth with the rail. Then on the outside is Corona Grande next, while racing 3 clear from Load 'em Up Justice, trying to overcome a bobbling start, and Revs Metal trails. The opening quarter in 24.25 seconds. For Mama has locked horns with Me and Chili. For Mama and Me and Chili, they're vying for the lead, heading toward the half-mile pole in the meantime with Mitch Murrell. Mansfield Tiger tracking them from third. Highest Memories next in fourth as they go past the half-mile pole. 3 more to Base Coat with on the outside Corona Grande. Revs Metal up 1 spot. Load 'em Up Justice has been relegated to last. Half-mile fought through in 47.89 seconds. It's Me and Chili who leads with the rail for Santos Sanjor to 3 furlongs from home. It's Me and Chili. For Mama is dropped back now after vying, and on the outside Mansfield Tiger coming with a gain. Highest Memories being driven on the far outside. Me and Chili hits the quarter pole. Me and Chili as Mansfield Tiger looms up. For Mama straightens away in fifth. Then it's Revs Metal next as they turn for home after 3 quarters in 1 minute 12.25 seconds. Load 'em Up Justice, the Triller, Corona Grande, Mansfield Tiger. Mansfield Tiger's taking the lead, 1 furlong to go. Me and Chili's drop back, and Base Coat is coming with a long run now for Alberto Burgos. Here's Base Coat, and Base Coat has just reeled Mansfield Tiger in. Base Coat, and Base Coat bounds home a length on top of Mansfield Tiger. Me and Chili was third. Highest Memories finished fourth.
Base Coat, wow, 3 for 32 coming in. 2 starts this year, not hit the board. Stretching out, gets the upset score.
Yeah,
9-1.
Tough one to make on paper. The pace, the 2 ended up getting just buried in a duel by a horse who ended up finishing last in the number 4. And she actually ran a remarkable race to finish third in here when you consider the way the pace evaporated. No excuse for the number 3. Mansfield Tiger had a perfect trip, and Base Coat had a good trip too, but not sure how you make this one, but got it done.
Michael Lauerbarn, 9-1 upset, 5-3-2 finish. Gonna take a timeout. He is in high demand, as we have talked about, fresh back from his trip abroad, Flavien Prat. More on him next.
Here comes that big gray Tappet Trice right down the outside.
Tappet Trice wins the Toyota Bluegrass.
Tappet Trice's 2024 debut was awesome.
Tappet Trice is lunging. Tappet Trice wins the Woodward.
Join America's Day at the Races for the special July 4th Racing Festival at Saratoga Racecourse. 4 days of great racing as a prelude to Saratoga's summer meet.
Action kicks off Thursday, July 3rd, 1 Eastern.
Join us at Saratoga Racecourse for the 5th annual New York Thoroughbred Aftercare Day. This special live race day celebrates retired racehorses and fun for the whole family. Free with paid admission on Thursday, July 17th.
Greatest Honor has taken the lead now. Less than a quarter of a mile to go, and Greatest Honor starts to get away. Greatest Honor, he's an easy winner in the Holy Bull. And here he comes now. Greatest Honor finding his best stride right when he needs to, and he's going to run down, drain the clock to win the Fountain of Youth.
It's the biggest day of the year at Meadows Racing. Saturday, July 26th is the Delvin Miller Adios Pace for the Orchids, starting at 11:45 a.m. Come out to Hollywood Casino at the Meadows in Washington, PA. and experience the thrill, the speed, and your chance to win big on Audios Day. Bring your bets, feel the roar of the crowd and the power of the pace. The Audios is coming. Get all the details at meadowsharnessracing.com.
So War Dancer is a yearling that we bought at the Fasig-Tipton sale in 2011. And then he took us on a journey beyond our wildest imagination. He was just always an honest horse and a smart horse. There was an allowance race in Keeneland where he got held up at the gate.
And they're off, an awkward beginning for War Dancer, who broke in the air and is absolutely last.
And then it's, oh, bad start for War Dancer. War Dancer's in the back by 12 lengths. And then all of a sudden, boom, he comes flying and he wins the race.
War Dancer, Bold Challenger positively. War Dancer, Bold Challenger. War Dancer, unbelievable.
Then when he retired, I said, oh, why don't we stand him stud? It'd be easy. He's by Warfront. He's made over $1 million. He's a graded stakes winner. And then we started down the journey of making him a stallion in New York, which possibly the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life. I'm originally from New York. My husband's originally from New York, so it was pretty much New York or nothing. In order to survive, I realized we needed a package that was unique. And right out of the gate, we started having winners. 2020, okay? That was our first crop. We have Step Dancer and Pivotal Run, 35-1 and 49-1 on Labor Day weekend. Wouldn't you know it, we come in first and second. And from there, it just kind of took off, and we've had a lot of success. Miss Big Bucks, she won the Stallion Series. And then 26 Black came in second by like a quarter of a nose in his Stallion Series. And I think we have a lot of up-and-comers.
And they're off.
A couple things I've noticed. They all bust out of the gate. You see War Dancers almost get the first call. The second thing is they're level-headed, they're smart. You'll talk to most trainers, they say, I love the War Dancers. So he's proven himself as a sire, and quite frankly, in New York, it's all about the racetrack. It's been very, very exciting, and I want to thank everybody who supported us because it was an uphill battle for years until you finally have runners that make it a little bit easier.
Well, there is a daughter of War Dancer. I know someone who likes this huge long shot, 37-1.
Guy's an idiot.
Debuting.
That would be Greg Wolf.
Yeah, I actually picked this one on top. Christopher Elliott for Jimmy Ferraro.
Did you pick it on top because you knew there was a War Dancer feature and you thought that that was the reason? I mean, you knew there was a War Dancer feature.
Oh, I feel like our Bobby Klatt put this show around my selection. So he saw I picked this horse, and then he kind of changed the rundown.
He often tells me that that's what he does. Wouldn't be
Great
the dumbest
minds.
idea. He's a
This
War
one-
Dancer.
this
Damn
one
the
has
on the turf.
pedigree.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. These are the kind of races. You want to bet 40-1 shots? These are the races to do it in.
Dan produced Sport Model, who won 3 in a row on the grass. A couple of stakes wins, was second to Evie Jets before she became Evie Jets.
As well as 4 horses that tried the turf that can't run. But yeah, she's 100-1. The funny thing on the board right now are the differential between the odds of the 9 and the 12. If you draw a line through every dirt race that the 9 Good Mission has run, and you just look at the 2 turf races, you can make a cogent argument that he should be favored in this race, or she should be favored. And yet she's 6-1, the 8 is 4-1, and I think Gattata's, the 8, definitely has a chance in here. I don't think she should be a shorter price than Good Mission. And Artistic Success on the outside is fine, but how is the 9 6-1?
Yeah,
Look
it
at the
makes
turf
no
races
sense.
on that horse, and she's kind of the horse to beat.
It's been forgotten because of
dirt races.
What, 7 or 8 straight dirt races? Forget them all. The 2 turf races, yeah, they were very good. Should make her one of the top choices. And for Artistic Success, who's 2-1, and there she is. Perfect trip last start in a pretty slow race.
And I don't hate the post, but it's not a great post, and I rather not. And listen, Artistic Success is fine, but I don't know. You want 2-1 a race with so many unknowns and variables in here. I'm interested in the 1, who frankly on his vow is not a great price at 6-1, but has been bet in other starts. The best racehorse ever ran was first time out in the dirt, and the pedigree says turf, so I'm hopeful this horse will improve.
There's The man who will be aboard the current 2-1 favorite, looking for number 3 on the card today, Arad Ortiz Jr. He'll team up with Joe Sharp and hop aboard Artistic Success, the 12 for the first time in her 3-race career. Blinkers go on. See if that will help get her involved a little earlier in the game. As 2 also eligibles draw in the 13. And then this one, My Gorgeous, who is trying the turf for just the second time. Last time, turf debut going long, did not work out well.
I'm losing my place here, Greg.
The 16.
Oh, I forgot that horse was in, right. Well, right, thank you. I forgot that one was in. Good luck to that one. 45-1.
Seems like it, yeah. Riders up, post parade coming up. And we will start with, the one you like, Endless Vow, turf debut for Horacio De Paz. The dam produced one who won sprinting on the turf at Saratoga. Graham, yeah.
Graham, and this one's a Factor, and the Factor's a very good turf sire. I think this horse is very dangerous.
Pretty good rider aboard.
Yeah, he's
Flavia
good.
Pratt.
Yeah, I like him.
Argentiera, Kevin Bonbarn, blinkers on.
Cuts back in distance, and for what it's worth, turning back from routes to sprints in the turf with maidens, Kevin Bond, in his short career as a trainer on his own, is 1 for 1.
Carlos Martin Barn, he's got the good one, Front of the Devil running this weekend. Here's Frog Hollow Summer.
I think when they get in the barn, they don't confuse him with Front of the Devil, but Lisa's dropping to a maiden claimer first time.
The 5, a little interesting, too.
Torres has plenty of turf pedigree, I agree. The dam side, Vino Rosso, not great.
Yeah, 7% on turf sprinting Vino Rosso. Tisn't anymore, blinkers on.
Nothing I can see to recommend other than a good trainer.
Inflammabelle taking money just the second time on grass.
The one time ran in a maiden race Saratoga that was on the weaker side of overall maiden races.
Got a Tiz with John Velasquez for James Bond.
Ran against a very good horse in Disco Star last time and drops down. I can see it being interesting, just not at 4-1.
3-year-old debut coming up with the drop. Here's Good Mission, 5-1.
Like I said, this horse should be favored based on the 2 turf races as an overlay at 5-1.
Manny Franco rides for Rob Atras. Here's the 10, the first timer, the War Dancer filly.
I'm going to have to throw in a small exacta box with my horse for this one, just out of respect for you, Greg.
Thank you. 2-1 favorite, and again, Irad looking for number 3 today.
I just don't see why this horse is 2-1 and the 9 is 6-1. That's all I'm going to say. Not that I don't think this horse can win, but I don't think there's a significant difference on paper in their chances.
The 2 also eligible is Romero Mirage on Graceful Warrior.
Does drop down, but hasn't done any running in turf races.
And the now 53-1 shot, My Gorgeous.
Would be a shocker.
Emily Ellingwood will ride this 5-year-old mare by Mineshaft. So 4 minutes away from this race to close out our Thursday card, and 2-1 favoritism, Artistic Success. The 2 starts back as a 3-year-old. Let's go down to Acacia.
And she does get blinkers on today as well for Joe Sharp. But the question with Artistic Success is that she's been clearly a little bit tricky to keep on the racetrack. Now a 4-year-old just making her 3rd start, and she is one that she never really grew or developed. She does come back here looking incredibly fit for the 3rd start of her career and her first one as a 4-year-old, and she's very sharp, which she always has been. Shortcut blinkers going on for the first time. We'll see if that does help her to be a little bit more forward at the beginning of the race, because she acts like a horse who should be forward. I don't have a problem with her overall, but I think this is a bit more of an intriguing race than maybe just zeroing in on this one horse who I think does have some questions. The number 9, Good Mission, I completely agree. She's also built much more like a turf horse, and she's kind of angular in her hind end in the way that she's put together. She's built like one that should handle the grass, and her 2 turf races, if you just isolate those, would make her a major player. I know overall she's not a winning type on either surface. She's often right there without being able to seal the deal, but I feel far more confident with her on the grass than I would if this was a dirt race. The number 1, Endless Vow, which I'm going to land on too because I've been waiting to see her get onto the turf. She's one of the
first of a couple that I'll talk about trying the turf for the first time. Yes, she is the half-sister to Graham. Graham was a teeny tiny filly, and Endless Vow has a bit more size to her, but still, I think she's better sprinting. The Factor, I love his progeny sprinting on the grass, and I think the Endless Vow is finally getting to do what she's wanted to do all along. She had a big warm-up as well under Flavien Prat, very fit, coming back off a bit of a layoff for Horacio de Paz. And I wanted to throw in a bomb, the 5 Aperitif, who, as you guys mentioned, does have turf pedigree on the bottom side, and looks like we have saddle adjustment on the number 10, I believe, out there behind the gate. But back over to the 5 Aperitif. Yes, a lot of turf pedigree on this one, who is after a horse I know quite well, and Big Prankster, who, to be fair, has kind of not really taken a huge step forward. And while he hasn't run on the turf, he's run very well on the grass, and the other 2 siblings have won on both turf and synthetic, and this horse has a turf hoof on her. I know that Vino Rossos don't necessarily have the best stats on the grass overall, but I have seen a few of them that really can handle the turf, and I don't mind it. She's beautifully put together, this filly. I'm very interested to see what she can do getting onto the grass, and she is a huge price with a pedigree to suggest that she should handle it. Greg?
Acacia, thank you. 9-5. Artistic Success with Irad Ortiz Jr. taking even more money here. Still 5-1 on the 9 Good Mission.
If Irad Ortiz's ROI is $1.30, he's probably overachieving. Because I've never in my life, I mean, when I was a kid, Cordero got overbet. And he was the man. Not like Irad. I mean, they love Irad at the windows, and he habitually has a low ROI, and it's not his fault. He's just riding horses that are supposed to be 4-1 that are going off at 2-1 all the time. There is absolutely no reason this horse should be 9-5 in this race. What about this horse in a 12-horse field says that she lays over the field, coming off a layoff and breaking from an outside post? A race full of unknowns. We know the 9 can run on the turf. The 8's dropping down. I mean, I'm not... I think I picked the horse 2nd or 3rd. I'm not going to be surprised if she wins. But 9-5?
I'm with you.
Crazy.
The disparity between the 9 and 12 is shocking.
There's an argument that Irad's horses are going off 30 or more % lower than they should be going off. And I think it's his evidence by his habitual low ROI. The guy's as good a rider as there is in the country, in the game, and he habitually has a bad ROI, and it's not because he's riding badly, it's because his horses are overbet. Because when he's winning and paying $7, he should be paying 9 or 10. And sometimes he's paying, in this case, 5 and change when he should be paying 8 and change.
A result of how successful he is.
It is his fault. It's his fault because of how good he is, but it doesn't, he's not telling people to bet these horses. Crazy.
Nightcap Thursday card, Belmont at the Big A.
5 a little.
5 with the pedigree, Big Prank, the dam produced Big Prankster, who had 3 buyers in the 70s on the grass, although never won. Two other winners on the turf produced. Second dam, 4-time winner on the grass.
Plus 9,500 with that pedigree in New York bred. We'll see. Listen, I wouldn't dissuade anybody from betting a price in this race.
Meanwhile, Endless Vow, the 1.
5-1's no bargain on this
About
horse.
the same number as the 9.
Yeah, that's a mistake. The 9's a known commodity.
And still having trouble trying to get this first-time turfer Aperitif, the 2nd-time starter, into the gate.
It's aperitif, Greg. All right?
Oh, sorry.
This is a sophisticated show. Okay?
Well, my circle cut out my line, the eye.
There's a famous story a friend of mine tells where he was somehow late night at a restaurant ordering dinner with somebody and ex-Governor Kerry. And Governor Kerry ordered the endive salad, and the guy with him said, "Governor, it's endive." So every time I see endive, I think of that story.
Wow.
It's one of my favorite stories.
Chris Griffin to close out this Thursday action. 6 furlongs on the turf. Here we go.
Gorgeous moves in. All set. And they're off. Good speed from in between horses comes Artistic Success, is right there with Inflammabelle. These two across the course. At the rail moving on through is Frog Hollow Summer, just having to steady, as getting the rail position was Inflammabelle, who's now in front. Good Missions in between horses. That's the gray, who's sitting in 4th. To the far outside, Graceful Warrior starts to make up some ground, then it's a lineup of 3 in behind them. In between horses there at the rail was Endless Vow, and Argentiera is also moving forward with Aperitif. On the far outside, here comes a run from Gatatiz towards the back end of the field. Also trying to launch a rally, and Tiguan Rum Runners far, far out of it. Trying to run on, there comes Tisn't Anymore. 21-4 for that opening quarter mile. Inflammabelle is in front. Inflammabelle has the lead. Towards the outside, Artistic Success is trying to run that leader down. It is Inflammabelle still finding plenty on the front end. Here comes a big late run from Graceful Warrior down the center of the course. Good Mission. They're all chasing this leader. Inflammabelle has a 16th left to go, has a length and a half cushion. Artistic Success, Good Mission. Inflammabelle wins the finale. Artistic Success, then came Good Mission and Aperitif. And 1 minute 8.63 seconds.
Inflammabelle, second time on the grass. Joel Rosario for Michelle Nevin at 5-1.
They didn't change positions 1, 2, 3 the whole way around the racetrack, and a somewhat surprisingly short 5-1 on Inflammabelle, though I'm going to look and see what price David had this horse. 8-1 morning line. Took a lot of money, and they were right. Joel Rosario on the front end, wiring the field. No excuse for the 12, no excuse for the 9. They were second and third best. And as we talked about with the 9 and 12, it's funny, I'm talking about them, they ended up finishing a head apart, justifying that the 9 was an overlay in the air, but it didn't matter. They couldn't catch the 7.
And that
the 5 ran. The 5 was the only one that closed any ground at all.
27-1 first on the turf. We talked about that pedigree.
Aperitif. You'll never pronounce that name wrong again.
7-12-9-5. 5-1 way to end things on this Thursday card. And Joel Rosario with the victory.
I bet him one race too early.
And pick 6 hit.
Yes. Well, it was a pretty logical bunch
just
of
over
results.
6,100. We'll have the prices when we come back. 108.3 final time here. Inflammabelle the win. Nevin, Rosario to close things out. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on Fox Sports 2 right after this.
McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds, proudly standing 4-time champion New York Sire Central Banker, sire of multiple stakes winner Bank Frenzy.
Now Bank Frenzy means business, and he'll win the Haynesfield.
Also standing Salamini, sire of Grade 2 winner Winstock, and 7-time stake horse Doc Sullivan.
Doc Sullivan dominates the Mike Lee.
And Provocateur, the only Grade 1 son of Into Mischief standing in New York, half-brother to Wood Memorial winner Rodriguez. At McMahon of Saratoga Thoroughbreds, New York stallions that deliver.
Back in our Thursday coverage here on Fox Sports 2 in Flamabelle. Getting back on the lawn for Michelle Nevin with Joel Rosario. Pays $13.60.
I don't know about you. It feels a little bit like a they knew. Awfully short price in this horse. Awfully short price.
It is
for my
short.
money.
From that 8-1 morning line. Even the 8-1 morning line seemed a little low.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised this horse. I'm surprised this horse won. I'm surprised it was only 5-1. They all ran in place.
7, 12, 9, 5. And pick 4. Very formful with the, the exception of this one, but many knew about it. Pick 6 is mentioned, just over $6,100, $6,155.50 to be exact. Not a bad return with what came in the pick 6, right?
I'd have to look. You're probably right. Let's see. You had a 9 to 5 shots, so let's say $6. You had what price was Kaylin Dana? Can't remember, but 4 or 5 to 1, $30.
Not that high.
6 to 5.
We'll go back to it here. Horseshoe Indy. This one meant for the turf comes off. And the 9 right there, you're looking at your favorite at 2-1. Let's go to Rachel.
Yeah, you guys came off the turf, and usually, more often than not, you can find a little something, and then sometimes you get a race that comes off the turf, and there's not much to go off of. I mean, honestly, these are true turf horses. I tried to find a little bit of a long shot with the scratches. Obviously, that always does change the odds, but I'll take 5-1 on the 4 Peacock Road all day long here. Ray Hernandez chatted with him. He said, you know what, we're going to try to switch some things up here. We're taking the blinkers off. Might wake her up. She hasn't ran with blinkers off in a very, very long time. And then he said, you know what, Rachel, look at these couple of times she has. I've kept her on and she's ran on the turf. She's had a couple of thirds. And given the rest of the field not having much dirt for him, I really like Peacock Road, the 4, even more. Alberto Burgess is aboard here. He was our leading jockey in 2024. For anyone who isn't familiar, he's really a talented rider. So I'm going to go with that one on top. Now, out of the rest of them, I really would like to look at the one that does have a first and a second place finish on dirt, given it was at Belterra and it wasn't a claiming for 10. I think even with what's left in here, it's a little bit tougher, obviously, but the one R Rose All Day with the recent dirt form, routing at today's distance of a mile, I just think that might be an interesting one. And it looks like right now at 9-1, you could really get behind that and maybe make up some money here. But I just feel like this is one of those races that when it was taken off the turf, it just kind of got decimated. It's still a 6-horse field, but you just really, really would have liked to see some of these horses run on turf. Peacock Road, the 4, though, with the jockey change of Alberto Burgess aboard, is what I'm going to leave you with, guys.
No, the 9 is.
Well, things totally changed here with this race coming off the grass.
This race is completely misbet. I mean, it's scary how badly this race is bet. The 1 is supposed to be like the co-favorite along with the 9, Big Dig, and maybe the 4, Peacock Road. The 6 has run one time on the dirt and is 2-1 and was beaten 27 lengths. Why do we think this horse can handle the dirt? The 4 horse has run some off the turf races and didn't. I'm sorry, the 4 is not impossible in here, but it's a big price. I am perplexed. The 6 to me is a pitch. The 8's a turf horse who ran once in the dirt and did not lift a hoof. I think ran a 21 buyer that day. I'm completely confused why this race is being bet like it is.
Interesting. So this one here, 9-1. Just one with a 68 buyer on the dirt. R Rose All Day. And is being forgotten right here.
Yeah, I had to bet this race. I wasn't going to bet. But listen, off-the-turf races are often misbet. And in my opinion, I mean, the crazy thing is the 6 at 2-1, in my opinion. There is absolutely nothing that suggests that this horse is really a horse that wants to run in the dirt. I mean, granted, the first start was just the second start, but the horse was atrocious. I don't get it.
What if you were playing in exacta here? What would you play?
I did. I keyed the 9 with the 1 and 4, and a little more with the 1 than the 4. That's what I did.
It really seems like 9-1 could be.
Yeah, I don't think the 4 is impossible. I mean, I know they were off the turfs, but this is too, and ran respectable enough figures I could use the horse. But I don't understand the money for the 6 and 8 personally.
See what happens. Taken off the grass. Track still, well, upgraded here to fast. We're set for this one. John Dooley, the call.
One more. Big Dig. Santo Sandro won the opener. It's race 6. With game 6 in downtown Indy tonight. They're in the gate. They're off. Even start. Peacock Road. Nicely away. Here comes Honey Holler, and right there on the outside, Big Dig with an early bid as they make their way into the first turn with Samuel Bermudez. Honey Holler has emerged in front, a Big Dig on the outside, and the gray Squash Blossom nestled in toward the rail with 7 furlongs to run. Then toward the inside is Peacock Road, joined on the outside by Razzle Red with a white cap, and Our Rose All Day has dropped back to last. Making their way toward the backstretch is Honey Holler. 23.80 lead seconds, and Honey Holler generates the pace. Santo Sandro has Big Dig close up, second by 3. And then comes Squash Blossom, who's running in third, another 4 to Razzle Red, who's next in formation, racing 3 clear from Peacock Road, and turn another 3 to Our Rose All Day, who remains the back marker. They go past the half-mile pole, still Honey Holler, Big Dig, 1-2. Half mile, 47.20 seconds. They enter the far turn. Honey Holler, Big Dig, a neck apart. Squash Blossom running in third. Then it's a break of 4 more to Razzle Red. Peacock Road has dropped back, and Our Rose All Day as they round the far turn. Honey Holler by 3/4 length. Big Dig second on the outside, coming toward the quarter pole, 6 lengths away. Razzle Red being driven now to gain from third. And then comes Our Rose All Day, Peacock Road on the far outside, and Squash Blossom showed speed but has dropped right away. 3/4, 1 minute 12.24 seconds. Top of the lane, it's Honey Holler with Samuel Bermudez. Honey Holler looking to seal the deal, staring at 1 more furlong. Big Dig continues to battle and tries to get back on terms. It's Honey Holler. Honey Holler, Big Dig slightly drifts off his line. Honey Holler finding all the way to the finish. Honey Holler wins by 2. Big Dig was kept at bay throughout by Honey Holler. Our Rose All Day third, and Razzle Red finished 4th.
Honey Holler with the victory. Glenn Wismerbarn.
Basically eased in 1 dirt start. Different horse today when she got to the front.
5-2, holding off the 8-5 favorite.
Mine was second and third, but it wasn't close.
8-9-1-6. For Novogratz Racing Stable, 5th career win, just the 2nd time on dirt. And Responds did not hit the board in that first dirt effort.
That would be being kind.
So that one in the books. Tomorrow's action. We have race 5 mile and an 1/8. We have New York Breds in an allowance optional claiming group in here. Mighty Atlas, Dr. Kraft, Palace Boss, all lining up in this spot.
Yeah, Cut the Cord is the horse to beat, probably on the rail, along with the 2 Mighty Atlas. I mean, they're the favorites. They look like the right 2. You got Mighty Atlas off the plane for Brad Cox. For owner Michael Dubb, I kind of preferred him a little bit, the 1 1/8, but I respect Cut the Cord.
Cut the Cord, 6-time winner. Had a win at Saratoga last summer. Beating, among others, Left Me Behind that day.
Was very game 2 back. The 1 1/4 proved to be too far last time out as the favorite. I prefer the 2, but I thought they were the right 2 in this race. I didn't have anything clever to say.
Yeah, pretty good one. Locky Key finishing in front of that one in this race.
Palace Boss comes off a big win, but this is a much tougher group. Now, maybe you feel like he's an improved horse, but I don't.
Mighty Atlas, Brad Cox off the claim. And let's look back to March 21st. 2 starts back, and this was a win at Aqueduct in a mile. Beating Dr. Kraft in My Last Mission.
And, you know, he lost to Cut the Cord a 1 1/8, suggesting that horse might be better the distance. I'm sort of going with the Brad Cox claim, though this one is for Michael Dubb, not for Sandy Goldfarb. But I don't have a strong opinion here. They look like the right 2. That's why they're the favorites.
Worried about the 1 1/8 for him?
I mean, a little bit. not overly worried about it, but he does seem to be better at a mile. But who's the real mile and an eighth horse in this race? You know, Palace Boss, because he beat
the cord
weaker
maybe
horses.
a little bit better, longer.
Maybe, not sure.
Yeah. Dr. Kraft's going to try a mile and an eighth for just the second time after that initial try against Bank Frenzy.
Didn't run that
Saratoga
badly
week.
in there, actually. It's not really a winning type, but he didn't run badly in there.
And Palace Boss will try and put together 3 in a row. Just won at a mile and an eighth for Horacio De Paz.
Yeah, that was against a very, very weak field, and the only other horse with form in there was a complete no-show. So Palace Boss, to me, while he is an up-and-comer, he's going to have to improve.
Let's bring you results from the race we just showed you. Horseshoe Indy, Honey Holler, 5-2. For, again, the Glenn Wismer barn, it was 8-9-1-6 here. And the 5-year-old mare by Creative Cause holding on to victory.
Yeah, they went 1-2 around the track. This horse was the speed on paper. I did not have any confidence this horse would handle the turf, but she did. He did extremely well.
Samuel Bermudez for the Wismer barn. This 5-year-old mare gets second try on dirt with the win holding off the favorite, Big Dig, who was facing better on dirt at Churchill.
Yep, no excuse. Just couldn't get by.
And a considerable way back to our Rose All Day, who just left herself a lot to do very far back.
In a race that held together.
Yeah. All right, so our program in the books. We are back tomorrow. Limited show tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern start time. We're on for an hour on Fox Sports 2. That'll be our coverage.
Bring your A game. If it's got an hour, it's got to really, you have to have like 2 or 3 hours worth of,
I like to get into a little momentum and then build it up. We're going to have to come out of the gates firing tomorrow.
Well, Acacia's going to join us up here, so at least there'll be somebody smart in the desk.
Okay, well, we look forward to that. So, again, 2:30 Eastern start time on our Friday coverage. And we got, 7 days left before we head to Saratoga.
I have 5.
Not going to see Andy closing weekend here. But coming to a close, things wrapping up downstate. It's going to be a fun summer, but some more work to do before we check out. There's, again, when we're on tomorrow, it was Kalen Dana. Tough race to try and figure out on paper at a mile 3/8 on the grass, getting the win for a rail. Neil Drysdale sighting here with a runner he's bringing from the West Coast. John Velasquez aboard for that victory to break the maiden career start number 11 at that marathon distance on the grass. Uncle Jim had that one huge race on dirt. Runs another big one. Got rave reviews from Maggie Wolfendale how this one looked at the paddock and ran to his looks. And then Cagino. Maybe big things ahead for this Shug McGahee runner in his 4-year-old debut.
Galite to the outside. Elite Power coming down the center. Nakatomi is fourth. Then the chosen run. Elite Power. Elite Power to the front. At the 60-pole, Galite is second. But Elite Power does it again in the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
These particular horses, Elite Power, I feel like these are horses we want to see in the breeding shed if we want to develop the thoroughbred breed.
The power of Juddmonte.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on Naira Bets. Open your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the Naira Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
New York breds. Race them.
Respect them.
Bet them.
Respect them.
Breed them.
Respect them.
Buy them.
Respect them.
Train them for a second career.
Respect them. Join us in respecting thoroughbreds at every stage of life. Learn more at nybreds.com.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.